pounds and I'm still kept at 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't covering my cloth, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds and I'm still kept at 100. Yeah, who don't play, 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 who don't play.
Music licensing reimagined.
Play, who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't. Long time coming, knock on the bottom of my feet from running. Cataracts under my eyes from hustling. Going from buying to selling to customers. Run up the business, God is my witness. Turn up the sun up from under the sun that we maxing the limits. My mind running like Tom Cruise on an action movie. Moving the mission, they say that I'm tripping. I've been told I need a vacation, I'm finessing the visit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers and welcome to Stat Diggers for UFC 314. We have Alexander Volkanovski going against Diego Lopez, and I'm really looking forward to this one, Wheezy. We've had some not so great cards. We had UFC London. We had UFC Vegas 105. But now we're heading out to Miami. We're going to have a fun card. We got Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler, 5-round fight. We have Alexander Volkanovski, Diego Lopez. I'm looking forward to this card. This is a card that on paper, I don't see how it doesn't deliver. Uncle Wheezy, what is up? Are you looking forward to UFC 314?
Yeah, this is a great card. You know, we haven't had a lot of name value the last couple of cards, but this one's got plenty of it. This is a true pay-per-view card, and I'm excited because we're at the end of an 11-week straight stretch of UFC action here. As cappers, we're just exhausted. We're so tired. I mean, look what happened to Brady's hair. I mean, like this is my hair was like I had a crew cut when this fucking stretch started. So I'm really happy to get a week off after this week, but also know that we're going into that week off having some really, really top-notch fights with top-notch fighters. So looking forward to breaking it down.
Oh, thank God we have a week off next week. So I'll be heading out to Miami. I'm hoping I don't run into Colton G. That's kind of the only thing I'm scared of, running into Colton G and his homies. But as long as I can stay away from Colton G and his homies, I think it's going to be a fun time. I'm going to need like a week to recover from Miami. Because when I went to Tampa last time, I literally needed like a week to recover. Like it was that much fun. So yeah, looking to have some fun, looking to make some money. Before we get into, if you guys could do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We go live every Sunday, 10 o'clock, 15 Eastern time, not 1 second late. And we actually showed up on time today. We actually showed up on time, and I think the chat is very, very happy about that. Before we get to the chat and say what's up to you guys, I do want to shout out the sponsor of the show, and that is our guy, Avery. Shout out Avery for sponsoring the show. Guys, if you haven't already, give him a follow at MMA_very at X. He posts weekly contests. He posts his reads. Very sharp guy, very nice guy as well. And he's the reason I can afford wigs like this. Wigs like this are not cheap, dude. They're not cheap. You might think they're cheap. They're not. This is a high quality wig. I tried to find the closest one to like a Diego Lopez, and this is kind of what I got. But yeah, they're not cheap, and it's all thanks to our guy, Avery. Shout out, Avery. Guys, go give him a follow. All right. We're going to get to the chat, and then we will recap last night's UFC Vegas 105. I do want to see what is up with you guys. We got Elijah on first one in the building. Robert Valentin is my dad, and Diana Belbita is my mom because I got milked and my ass shaved at the same time. Oh, my gosh. That's all right. That's all right. We're gonna bounce back at UFC 314. We got TH. What is up? Good to see you. Proceeds from tonight's show will be used to send Martin Badai to Fat Camp. Actually, which brings me to something I do have to bring up. I want to send some thoughts and prayers to Kennedy Nzechukwu. I'm really worried about Kennedy. I'm really, really worried about Kennedy Nzechukwu. This is a guy that pulled out against Martin Badai. Kennedy Nzechukwu pulled out against Martin Badai. I hope you're okay. Kenny, if you're watching this, I hope you're okay. I hope everything's all right because something seriously has to be wrong. If you're pulling out against Martin Badai, something seriously wrong. So everybody send thoughts, prayers, well wishes to Kennedy Nzechukwu, and hope we see him in the cage again because if you pull out against Martin Badai, something has to be seriously wrong. So thoughts and prayers for Kennedy. We got Dixon in the building. Tony Weeks is a 68-year-old boxing ref. Why is he judging MMA? Why are a lot of these judges able to judge MMA after some very questionable scorecards? Brito needs help. And I did do a poll in terms of who needs help. If you guys have not voted on it, be sure to do so. We are at 125 votes, which is awesome. So we'll let that roll a couple more minutes. Tony Weeks has lost his marbles. A lot of these judges have, man. Glenn saying Luke Boomy was looking handsome this weekend. That she was. And we do have another handsome fighter on this card. Verna Jandiroba. We got Sped MMA Enjoyer. The other day, someone asked me if I had to eat a human, who would it eat? And I thought of Brady. Okay, I want to. Hopefully, this guy's not in Florida either. Wheezy. I don't want to be anywhere near this guy. That's disgusting. Colton G and Sped MMA Enjoyer. Far away from me, please. So the thing about the who needs help and Wheezy, I'll let you know the options. There weren't enough slots.
Yeah,
slots from last night. Like I needed 6 or 7 slots of who needed help. Of course, Demopoulos, she needs help. She needs to work on her takedown defense and get up game. But the 4 options I put, Wheezy, were Joe Anderson Brito, obviously needs help. Tony Weeks needs some help. Cortavius Ramius needs some help. And then Torres Finney. I think all 4 of those were my top 4. But yeah, I mean, you could throw Demopoulos in there. You can throw some other fighters in there, but those were kind of the top 4 there.
Brady, I just want to say just real quick.
Yeah.
I had no money on the Demopoulos fight. And as I was watching that fight, I wanted to put my own head through my wall because it was the easy, like Talita Alencar was the easiest money. Like she made Pat Sabatini look like he had a difficult fight, because I knew that Vanessa had no takedown defense and no get up game. And the fact that I did not have money on Talita Alencar there. Oh my God. There were whispers about Talita being like done and depressed and all this stuff. I have a feeling those were put out there on purpose to get people on the Demopoulos side so that the Alencar bettors could make the easiest money of their lives. Oh my God, was that a ridiculous fight?
Oh, she looked like a bigger favorite than Loma and Barbosa out there. I mean,
Dude, Brady, Toledo looked minus 1,000 and Vanessa looked plus $1 million. It was the shittiest performance on a night where we had so many shitty performances. And like I said, I didn't lose a dime on it. I didn't make a dime. I didn't lose a dime, but I actually picked Vanessa Demopoulos to win. And I after that fight, I was like, wow, that's one of the worst picks you've ever made.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was rough. That was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, she needs help. I mean, how about Daniel Frunza? Daniel Frunza needs help. The dude got dropped 5 times. How about Jason Herzog? Getting dropped 5 times is not intelligently defending yourself. I mean, Frunza apparently had to go to the hospital. I hope Frunza's all right. Maybe we should be wishing, thoughts and prayers to Daniel Frunza. I mean, this guy got dropped 5 times. It was ridiculous. Let's see. She needs to get some help. I agree. We got who's watching what. Diego's going to hurt that old man. Never betting a stripper pretending to be an MMA fighter again. Yeah, I mean it's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Front like I said, Franz is an option. I mean there were just too many options. Like so many people need help. We got Timothy. I stayed up past my bedtime just for this to start. What? We started on time today, right?
We're right on time. I don't know what these guys are talking about. You all need new clocks.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a time change a couple of weeks ago. Maybe the clocks still haven't been updated. I don't know what's going on. Never late. Are we? No, never late. Never late. Who's the hot brunette? What?
I think that's you.
Oh no, I can't take credit for a haircut like this. This is all Diego Lopez. Okay.
There you go. Hey-oh.
There we go. Let's move on to the... Okay. This is a Verna card. Yes, this is a Verna card. I'm looking forward to it. Vern is so sexy. I was talking with Dogfather in the DMs today, and I said, yeah, Vern is so sexy.
Yeah.
She's so sexy, man. She's so sexy. We got Colby. What is up? He said, "Oi, it all came together for me like butt cheeks to last
awesome.
night." There you go. Shout out to Colby Saul and shout out to Woozer39 with the 199 sending the super sticker. Appreciate you there. We got Jacksonville. So Brady only buys real human hair wigs. I wish it was real. It looks real. It looks real, right? It looks great. It looks great. It was expensive. It was expensive. If you wear that wig to Miami, I'll pay you. I'm not wearing it to Miami. I'm not wearing it to Miami. I did order some Fighting Nerds glasses as well, but they haven't arrived, man. Like Amazon, get some help, Amazon. I even paid like the extra $7, dude, for like the 2-day shipping. And I still haven't got my Fighting Nerds glasses. I was planning on potentially wearing those, but
are they sending them from Sao Paulo?
I don't think so, but I got the 2-day shipping. You pay the extra $7, you would think it'd be here. So Amazon, I mean, get some help. Get some help.
Crazy.
If Brady sings with the emo hair, I'm leaving. Well, you might be heading out then. Dream, believe, and make it happen. Yes, sir. What is up, Justin? Good to see you. Joe, hopefully you're not in Florida either. I don't want to be in the same room as you.
He's on a beach.
He is gonna be maybe
you might be running into Joel down there, man.
Oh God, I don't know who I'd rather run into at this point, Joel or Colton G. I think I'd rather run into Colton G at this point. Jeez. We got Dan in the building. What is up, Dan? Good to see you. All right, let's do a quick recap of last night. I'll kick us off. And yeah, it wasn't great for me last night at all. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, I had the fight doesn't go in the Alencar Demopoulos fight. Really wasn't much of a chance. I think Alencar attempted maybe one submission, but yeah, Vanessa was kind of content to get taken down and kind of just stay there for 15 minutes. How much control did? Yeah, Alencar had 12 minutes and 38 seconds of control. So yeah, that wasn't great. I had a KO shot on Victor Henry plus 1200. Got some value there. He dropped Falcao, and I thought he kind of let him off the hook in the third. Loma 2-3 props did not come through. Not really close. And quite frankly, I'm not even sure Loma won that fight. I mean, that was a horrible performance from a minus 1,000 favorite. I was big on the Barbosa Belbita under 2.5 rounds. It was my biggest bet of the night, and that came through with flying colors. We talked about it on last week's show. She got submitted by Molly McCann. I kind of had a stroke, and so yeah, Barbosa. I was actually terrified. Wheezy Barbosa struck with Belbita for the first 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah,
I was like, "Is this really happening, Barbosa?" And then she took her down and then subbed her shortly after. So that was great. What else did we have? I had fight ends by knockout for Finney Valentine. God awful bet. I thought that Finney would be able to get on top, secure position, but Valentine did a really good job at getting back up, and Finney mostly held him, and Finley only landed 4 total significant strikes. Just god-awful performance from Torres Finney. I had the fight ends by knockout in the Osborne-Garule fight. That was good. I kind of thought it was Ode early, Garule late, but it ends up being Ode getting a second-round knockout. Had a unit moneyline bet on Gerald Mearshart plus 215. Beat some CLV, but CLV is an absolute curse. Anytime I get CLV, the bet is losing. I don't think it was like the worst bet in the world. Tavares did look pretty good. I think that's the best Tavares looked since the Antonio Carlos Jr. fight a while back. And yeah, first round was Tavares pretty clearly. Third round was Mearshart pretty clearly. Came down to round 2, and Tavares kind of rocked Mearshart late round 2 to kind of seal off that round there. So yeah, Tavares got it done. And then my worst bet of the night had to have been Cortavius Romeus. And I liked it early on in the week, but as the week went on and he missed weight, there's some narrative starting to pop up throughout the week. Apparently this guy, like, just getting off the couch, didn't train. And I was kind of getting those vibes too. Like, I was kind of getting the I don't give a shit type vibes from Romeus. And, giving a shit is very important. And God, this guy's so dumb, dude. I mean, some of the worst fight IQ I've ever seen. Had the back of Chung Ho Lee in the second round. And instead of, either, winning some minutes potentially, or maybe going for the rear naked choke, he goes and goes for an armbar and ends up on bottom. So just terrible bet, terrible fight IQ. And then I did actually hedge though with the Lee side after the Romeus missed weight, but I hedged with round 3 and round 3 only. And let this be a lesson. If you guys sprinkle the round 3, make sure you sprinkle the round 2 as well. And then another bad bet was Joanderson Brito to win in rounds 1 or rounds 2. Just god awful bet. Sabatini didn't give him any chance whatsoever, and Sabatini controlled him for 13 minutes and 47 seconds. So yeah, wasn't my night last night. Snapped a 4-event winning streak, but looking to get it back at UFC Miami. The card last night was god awful. I posted that the card kind of sucked, and somebody was like, "Tell me you lost money without telling me." I mean, if I could have won all the money in the world last night, I mean, last night's card just took years off my life. The pacing, the card took forever. The fights just sucked. I mean, the only good fight really was McKee Frunza, and that lasted 5 minutes. Everything else was just kind of awful. The Tavares fight, awful. The Sabatini fight, awful. The Budai fight, awful. Just a ton of awful fights last night, but I think UFC Miami is going to be a lot more fun. Wheezy, how did your UFC Vegas 105 go?
It was all right. I wound up positive 1.35 units. So, I mean, that's now a 5-week winning streak that's spanning over 26 units.
Hey.
So, I mean, I'm hot right now, and I'm happy to be that way. 1 unit bet on Pat Sabatini at plus 205 cashed. 1.5 unit bet on Gerald Mearshart at plus 215 did not cash. So I was up 0.55 units on my money line bets. And then I had a 1.5 unit bet on the Victor Hendry scorecards equals no action finish only prop that pushed. I had a quarter unit bet on LaRon Murphy to win by submission at plus 1,900 that did not cash. And then I had Reese McKee to win in round 3 or by decision, plus 325 for 1 unit that did not cash. I was angry with myself for not just straight betting McKee because I picked him to win the fight, and he was plus 140, 145 when I picked him to win. But I got greedy and kind of figured like if he was going to get a finish, it would be late. And the number was so much fatter than the money line that I got greedy there. And then I had a 3-leg parlay. My probability parlay this week was Torres Finney to win, Chang Ho Lee to win, and the under 2.5 or the over 2.5 rounds for Falcao versus Hendry. That hit at plus 205 for 1 unit. So yeah, up 0.8 units on my prop bets, up 0.55 units on my money line bets, up 1.35 units. So I'll take it. I mean, it's not the best week, not the worst week, but, just tack another week on the winning streak. And hopefully, Brady, we always say it's really good when you can go into that off week on an up week. So I'm looking forward to finding some spots that stick out today, and hopefully we can have a positive week and then enjoy the week off.
Yep, let's do it, dude. A lot of stuff sticking out for this week. And then also the Stat Diggers parlay of the week. It cashes again, dude. I think it's only lost 1 week, and that the week it lost, it was an under 2.5 that finished. It still finished, but it finished over 2.5. I think it was the Harris fight. Other than that, the parlays have been on fire. The parlay last week was Kennedy Nzechukwu. Check.
Cash it.
Parlayed with the under 2.5 in the Barbosa fight. Check. So the 1 leg hits. There we go.
Nobody cashes 1-leg parlays like your Stat Diggers crew, man. I mean, we do it over and over again. Can't wait to give you another 2-legger where a leg pops off about 2 days after the show's over.
Yes. Unfortunately, the on-site piping of the week was Joanderson Brito to pipe Pat Sabatini on-site at UFC Vegas 105. So I'm not going to blame the chat, right? Like, we opened it to the chat. We let the chat side decide. I'm not going to blame it on you guys because my choice wouldn't have been much better. My choice would have probably been Torres Finney. And quite frankly, that would have maybe been a worse choice. So, or Kennedy, and Kennedy didn't fight. So my choice was probably Torres Finney to pipe Valentin on site. And the only thing that got piped was us fans having to sit through that for 15 minutes. So yeah, the piping of the week, unfortunately, that does not come through, but we're going to change it up for UFC Miami. What does come through and what is undefeated, the Stat Diggers milking of the week, Diana Barbosa to milk Diana Belbita dry. I knew it was happening. When Diana came in with the overalls, the straw hat. She came in with a big pail, like she was waking up early on the farm. She came into the cage. She took down Belbita. She grabbed her right by the teats, and she squeezed those teats until Belbita was forced to tap. And the ref said, stop, the fight's over. And the milking of the week cashes once again. We did it.
You know you're in trouble, Brady, when you're not even tapping your opponent. You're tapping your own arm. That's when you know you're really in trouble. And that's what Belbita did there. That Barbosa made it look really easy. It was one of those free squares that everybody had this week, and she got the job done.
Yep, I love when stuff like that happens. We got Liam in the building. What is up, Liam? Good to see you in here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see here. Oh gosh, some of these comments I can't pull up. All right. I say we get into it here, Wheezy, and we're going to start with the first fight on the card. And oh boy, we have Nora Cornolle going against Haley Cowan. We got Nora Cornolle, 35 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. Haley Cowan, 33 years old, 5'8" with a 67-inch reach. We got Cowan 2 years younger. We have Cornolle with it's hard to read with this stupid, Diego, how do you do it, dude? How do you read with your stupid ass haircut? We got Cornolle with a 1-inch reach disadvantage, and they got the same height there. Cornolle is 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Made her debut against Jocelyn Edwards, won that fight by decision, beat Melissa Mullins by knockout, and lost a split decision against Jacqueline Cavalcanti. As far as Haley Cowan, she has 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She had a decision win on the Contender Series by split, and then she lost to Jamie Lynn Horth by decision her last fight out. We haven't seen Haley Cowan in a very long time. She's been pulling out of fights, and quite frankly, there's probably no point in breaking down this fight, Weezy, because Haley Cowan's probably not going to show up. I mean, she's pulled out of her last so many fights. We have not seen her fight in, how long has it been? Like a year? Probably a year.
2 years.
How many?
Years.
How many? 2 years. 2 years since we've seen Haley Cowan. So we don't have to spend much time on this fight. Haley Cowan is probably going to pull out. But Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is going to be the last fight that I research this week because Haley just has not been able to get to the cage. And I mean, it's not like she's lazy or that she's just, not training or anything. She's just having health problems like over and over again. Like, I don't even want to get into what the problems were because I'm not qualified to talk about it. But look, it's just something that she's having a seriously hard time staying healthy enough to fight. So we haven't seen her in 2 years. And what we know about her is that she's huge for the division. She's very strong, very athletic. She's good at cage pushing. She's got a decent head kick, but she's only got 10 professional fights. And I think she's only fought like twice in the last 4 or 5 years, Brady. So there's a real lack of recent activity. And then with Cornhole, now you got her coming all the way over to Vegas here. This is in Vegas, right? No, this is in Miami. I'm sorry. Yeah. So either way, still it's a long trip for Nora from France to Florida here, and so that's going to be a little bit of a problem for her. But Nora's definitely been a lot more active lately. The fights against Cavalcanti, Mullins, Edwards, all 3 of those fights, I'm pretty sure have happened since Haley Cowan fought Jamie Lynn Horth. And if this fight, if Haley is able to make the walk, I think it's going to be a really close fight, like most Haley Cowan fights, because she's big, she's athletic. There's really no place where you're just going to be able to get off on Haley because she's pretty well rounded. So I think it's, like I say, it's going to be the last fight that I break down this week because Haley's had such a difficult time getting to the cage. And then when you have the 2-year layoff, that's going to add a lot more variance to this fight. So I'm going to be staying away from this one as a whole.
Oh yeah, I was up late night taping this one. I watched Haley Cowan versus Jamie Lynn Horth, and kind of took some years off my life. Cornhole opened up plus 131, currently minus 170. Haley Cowan opened up minus 151, currently plus 145. The over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 minus 205. The under 2.5 is plus 165. I lean Cornhole here. Yeah, so we don't have to go into the health issue. I mean, somebody in the chat posted it. Is that true? What Joel's saying?
What
I don't want to bring it up on air.
What Dixon is saying, or Joel?
Oh yeah.
No, what Joel is saying is correct. Yeah. Like it was something with her ovaries, and it was bad. It was really bad. Haley was having serious problems with that. And when it flares up at certain times, you don't know when it's going to happen, and it kept happening to her when she was trying to make her weight cuts. So that was a problem. And then if you scroll down to what Dixon is saying, that's a thing too. Like that's another reason why we haven't seen Haley now in over a year, is because there were some problems with her partner, or her husband, and there was some seriously shady shit going on there too. So, but it's not something that I know much about either. So, but I heard about it, so I don't want to be speaking about it secondhand. But some seriously crazy shit going on there.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Like I like something we've got to actually kind of look into before we talk about this fight, because it's a thing.
Dang. Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'm probably not gonna even watch this fight, to be honest. Might show up to the arena like a little bit later. Maybe miss the first. Maybe this is the fight I miss. I could just care less, to be. I don't know why they threw this on here, but it's probably gonna get canceled anyway. So, oh well.
Yeah, and they've got this thing, now where they're doing these big cards. The first 4 cards will be like bottom of the barrel fights, to like, so that they can, so they don't make the other Vegas cards all bottom of the barrel fights. That you can mix in a few good ones. But yeah, when you look at these first few fights, like, you got Sumargi and Gore, Nora Cornhole, Cowan's been away for 2 years, Mitchoso and Sumargi, some of the lower level names.
Yeah. Cowan is hot. I hope she wins. Cornhole sucks, but Cowan is worse, as she had pulled out like 3 fights now. Yeah, it's bad. Please tell me where I can see Wheezy's bets FFS.
Oddsshopper.com, baby. Oddsshopper.com. Search MMA cappers there. Uncle Wheezy. You'll find my probability stats and content package.
Yep, go check him out. What is up, Rahan Sari? Assume she will not fight. Agreed.
Yeah.
Over 2.5 rounds if she does show up.
Yes.
I would lean so, but I mean, if she's like, she sounds like she has a lot of problems. So I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it just doesn't sound good. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional, and I'm not a woman. Even though the hair might. But I'm not a woman. But it sounds bad. I'll have to hit up my wife, who is a woman, and is also a medical professional, and I'll have to see what she thinks. But she's sleeping right now, and I don't want to wake her up. Cowan is pretty awful at fighting, in my opinion. No disrespect. She does some good cage pushing.
She's a great athlete, but she's still got to put together the MMA skill set, and you can't do that when you're only fighting once every 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like Andrea Lee without the talent, Liam said. It's pretty good. We got to get Liam on here. I think he just summed up this in one sentence, what it took us 10 minutes to do there.
It's a mess, man. And yeah, I mean, Dixon, I see your comment. If true, that's it's absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I can't wait to see Brady. Okay. I thought
stay away from the beach, dude.
Yeah, I'm not going to the beach. All right. Some of these comments I don't want to pull up. Let's see here. All right. Brady, will you be hitting up Tootsie's after the fights? You got to do it. Are you buying? If you're buying, dude. Brady, who's the main event? The main event is Lopez versus Volkanovski, right?
Yes.
What have you missed? What is up, Artem? Not much, man. Not much.
Yeah, recap, and then you missed the first fight of the night, Cornhole Cowan. which I guess was something that was going on in her gym. I don't know. I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of it, and again, I'm not yeah, it's bad. It's very bad, very bad, very very bad. I'm worried about Keith Peterson too. I'm worried about Keith Peterson. He's looking bad, man.
yeah, I wonder if he's on that that Ozempic or any of that other stuff that all the kids are using these days to lose weight.
Yeah, dude, Joel, you're freaking me out, dude. You're on the beach, you're shirtless in your picture. you're saying sexual things towards me. You're kind of freaking me out. We have Dravi in the building. What's up, boys? Can't wait for the breakdown on the handsome Verna Jandaroba fight. Very, very handsome. Very handsome. I'm picking her to win, but it just laying chalk on Nora Cornhole is not really something I want to do. Keith gave up alcohol and just sticks to cigarettes nowadays.
Yeah, that'll help. That'll help lose weight. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on to the next fight. It is Marco Tulio going against Tresean Gore. We got Gore, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach. Tulio, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. He got same age there, same height, and it's going to be Gore with a 1-inch reach advantage. Tresean Gore, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Brian Battle, lost that fight by decision. Got knocked out by Cody Brundage, and then got back-to-back guillotine submissions against Josh Fremd and Antonio Tricoli. As far as Marco Tulio, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Ihor Peteria, won that fight by knockout. Had a second-round knockout on the Contender Series against Duclos. And yeah, this should be a very fun fight, very exciting fight. We have Tulio, who's a pretty big favorite. And I've never just been on high on Tresean Gore. I don't see how you can be, man. I mean, I remember his pre-fight interview, and at the time, this guy was like 3-2, and he's like, "I'm gonna be a double champ. I'm gonna be a double champ." And this guy's 3-2 at the time. It was before the battle fight, and then he went from like 3-2 to like 3-3. He's very low volume. I think he has overrated power. Does have a sneaky submission game. We've seen him get back-to-back guillotines, but yeah, I just don't like the volume, the urgency in there. Just not really sure what he's that great at, to be honest. Tulio's a guy that's training at Shoot the Box Diego Lima. Great volume, good power. Kind of think this is Tulio really however he wants. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, Tulio's quite a prospect, even coming into his fights on Dana White's Contender Series, or the fight, I should say. Or wait, did he have 2?
Oh yeah, he did. He took somebody to decision, the Bulgaria kickboxer.
That's right. Okay, yeah, because like he was a minus 550 favorite in his LFA fight against Dos Santos, minus 500 versus Duclos the second time on Dana White's Contender Series, minus 530 versus Ihor Peteria. So this is a guy who's got a decent amount of regional scene experience in Brazil. Fought a decent level of competition down there. Definitely one of the guys that was fighting the higher level guys consistently. And then came on to, Dana White's Contender Series, quite a bit of fanfare with the markets kind of making him like an 80 to 90% implied favorite to win. So clearly Marco, who's the exact same age as Tresean Gore, they're born like a week apart. It's for Gore, it's June 21st. And for Tulio, it's June 13th, both in 1994. So they're the same age, but Gore just has had a lot of trouble staying healthy and making it to the cage. The guy has not been an active fighter. We just saw him 4 months ago, but prior to that, I think it was at least a year layoff, maybe a 2-year layoff. And there were other layoffs in Gore's career as well. So he just hasn't been a very active fighter. And he's finished his last 2 fights with standing guillotines. So it makes it even harder, to be like, okay, well, where has Gore improved? Because we know that guillotine choke standing up is damn good. He got Fremd in it. He got Tricoli in it. But, this is going to be a different type of, both. I think Tulio would probably be a minus 300 favorite over both Tricoli and Fremd at this point. So it's kind of, I'm waiting to see where Gore is for this fight, because they're the same age, but Tulio's got 7 more fights. he's got almost twice as much cage time as a professional. And if you include like the recent Dana White Contender Series fights, you know, he's got about as much experience under the UFC banner as Gore does, who's only got 26 minutes in 4 fights. So this is going to be an interesting one, and it's one that the unders are you're going to probably be looking at some unders here, because the average fight time for Tulio in his career is 7 minutes. It's 7 minutes for Gore, and at the UFC level, these guys have had 5 fights, and they haven't even lasted a grand total of 30 minutes. So we're talking about less than 6 minute average fight time at the UFC level. So looking for some violence here, as Tulio has finished 10 of his 13 pro wins, and Teresian has finished like 4 of his 5 pro wins inside the distance.
Yep, I can definitely see a knockout here from Tulio at some point. Silva opened up minus 225. He's currently minus 320. Gore opened up plus 190, currently plus 270. The over-under set at 1.5. So we have a lot of 1.5s this card. This is the first of them. The over 1.5 is minus 145. The under 1.5 is plus 115. The under 1.5 was as high as plus 165 today.
Yeah, I would see that why the money would come in on the under here when you're talking about the average fight time of these two fighters. And, you know, obviously Gore and Tulio both have got a lot of power, and Gore has shown that, like, you put your head in the wrong place against this guy, it's over with. Like the angle that he was torquing Fremd's neck at was pretty scary. So, you know, we'll see if Gore can wind up getting another guillotine choke here. That would really be something. But, yeah, this is going to be a really fun fight. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yep, me too. Like, this is a very fun fight. What do we got here in the chat? Apparently Tulio and Dumas are like a thing.
Yes, they are.
Nice.
Yeah, this young man is winning at life and in the cage, Brady.
Yeah, there we go. Gore's stand-up gilly is deadly. That it is.
Yeah.
That it is. Tulio's most confident man in the UFC. Yeah, he's good. He's good.
I would be too.
Dumas may still be able to play for eyes.
Yeah, you know, I think I heard there might have been somebody had said that Norma Dumont, before her last fight, found out that her husband or her boyfriend was cheating on her, and I don't know if that meant that it was Tulio.
Oh.
But I mean, like I said, this is all secondhand. I don't know shit about it. I just heard somebody say that, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's weird." You know, I think it was in a comment on one of these type of videos. So
yeah, I mean, I try to not say things about relationships anymore after the Roma Delidze situation. Delidze hit me. Fan of the show. Roma Delidze hit me up, and we're cool now. But he wasn't too happy with me.
Oh, okay. So here's Matumbo Jeremias. Norma's ex-husband and ex-trainer was cheating on her. Then she left him and is now with Tulio and at Shoot the Box. Good for her. Good for her.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. What?
Joel.
Some of you guys in the chat today are just being awful. Some of you guys are just being absolutely awful. And yeah, let's not spam the chat, guys, and let's not talk about, you know, pussies and how they smell. We're trying to talk some fights, guys. Jeez. What is wrong with some of you guys? Let's get it together. We're only 40 minutes into the show. Let's clean it up. We're talking some fights. Enough is enough. Moving on to the next fight. It is Sumargi going against Mitch Raposo. We got Sumargi, 29 years old, 5'8" with a 72-inch reach. We got Mitch Raposo, 26 years old, 5'5" with a 64-inch reach. We got Mitch Raposo, 3 years younger, 3-inch height disadvantage, and again, it's hard to read with the wig, 8-inch reach disadvantage. Sumargi is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Knockout win against Malcolm Gordon, a decision win against Zaruk Adashev, submission loss to Matt Schnell and Tim Elliott, and then a decision loss to Uncle Wheezy's favorite fighter, the man with the skullet, Charles Johnson. As far as Mitchoso, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut on short notice against Andre Lima and lost that fight by decision. I'm actually really looking forward to this fight, Wheezy. 2 guys that are pretty exciting. Sumargi is the guy that's always going to go in there. Kind of worried about him. This guy's on a 3-fight skid. He did have a big layoff between the Elliott and Charles Johnson fights, and I believe he had like some serious like surgery or something wrong with him. And I think he showed up with like the double knee sleeves in that fight. But he actually looked decent against Charles Johnson. Was it due to the fact that Charles Johnson has a dumb haircut and maybe he's not as great as we thought, or maybe Stu still has some left in the tank? I don't know, but yeah, he looked a lot better than I expected in the Charles Johnson fight, even though he lost it. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Last night before I went to bed, I was taping Mitch Raposo, and I wanted to watch the regional scene fights in between the fight in the Tough House against Sholinian, and then he had a fight against Jake Hadley. I believe it was Contender Series that he lost. And then I wanted to see, because I remember the Lima fight. So I watched those fights against Carvalho, against Tyler the Butter Knife Smythe, and against Justin Valentine. Holy shit, does Mitch Raposo have power? Dude, his right hand is nuclear. Pray for Flavio Carvalho, because that dude got knocked out bad, Brady. Bad. I mean, I'm talking about he didn't wake up for like 90 seconds afterwards. Tyler Smythe ate some big shots in that fight. Justin Valentine, that fight ends in the 4th round, Brady. And after the 2nd round, after the 3rd round, the doctor's like trying to stop the fight, because this dude's face is broken in many different areas. I would recommend anybody that's thinking about betting on Sumargi, go and watch those recent regional scene fights, obviously against lower level competition than what he's going to be seeing on Saturday. But Mitch Raposo is only 26 years old. He does have 3 of his 9 wins are by submission. And we know that Sumargi's got an absolute trash ground game and that he's been submitted in 6 of his 7 professional losses.
Oh,
so yeah, it's really bad, Brady. It's really bad. So, and this guy Raposo hits really hard. So I'm seeing a big time potential here for a finish in this fight, because Sue has real power for a 125 pounder. He's huge for the division. He's very difficult to close distance against, and very precise with his counter strikes. So if Mitch gets a little bit sloppy trying to crash the pocket here, he could walk onto something big. In addition, if Sue gets countered with a big right hand from Raposo, he's going down. Raposo's got real fucking crazy power in his right hand. And if it lands, I don't care who in this division gets hit with it, it's going to be nighty-night. Keep your butthole tight, Brady. So I bet the under 2.5 rounds here. I smashed it for a full 1.5 units at plus 195. It's already moved to plus 165. I really like violence here. These guys have Raposo's finished 7 of 9 wins. Sumargi's finished 14 of 16 wins. And these guys have got 9 combined losses as professionals, and 7 of those 9 losses have come inside the distance. And both of these guys have power, and Raposo could probably find a submission on Muderji if this thing goes to the ground. So really like the unders here. And I think that Raposo, at only 26 years of age, look at the level that he's been tested at so far, and you compare it against the guys that Sumargi has been beating at this level. Sue's got 3 wins. Those guys' records at the UFC level are 5 wins and 12 losses.
I'm surprised it's even that good, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. When you look at, Malcolm Gordon, Zaruk Adashev, and who was the other bum that he beat? Dude, Zaruk Adashev could make 100.
Yeah.
That dude could make 100 pounds. That dude is like 5'1". How did he make it into the UFC? When they signed him, he was 3-2. Who does he know? Dude, if you're a fighter and you're having a hard time getting signed to the UFC, I would suggest that you find out whoever the fuck Zaruk Adashev's agent was, because that dude is a magician. He got an atomweight signed to the UFC with a 3-2 record in a men's division. So, yeah, I kind of like Raposo here, man. I think that he's going to be able to look a lot better than what the line is suggesting that he's going to look. The line has him as like about plus 160, 165. And Raposo's the kind of guy who can be losing minutes, but if he lands that right hand, man, he can win the fight immediately.
Yeah, Medarji opened up minus 300, it looks like. He's currently minus 187. Raposo opened up plus 250, currently plus 162. Raposo was like plus 180 earlier today, I thought. And yesterday was like plus 205. So some money is coming in on Mitch Raposo. Like you said, the over-under set at 2.5, the over 2.5 minus 205, the under 2.5 is plus 165. Yeah, I don't mind an under, and I don't mind Raposo as well. I think he has some paths. I obviously rate Medarji as the better striker. I like his minute-winning ability, but Raposo has that power and can potentially mix in some takedowns as well. I think it could be a competitive fight that can go either way. That Schnell fight was an all-timer.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. That was not for me. I think I had Sumargi by knockout.
I think you had the under 1.5 too, right? And it went over 1.5 or something. I think you and we both got screwed on that fight, but we were like, we don't care. That was such an awesome fight. That really was an all-timer.
It was insane. It was insane. Brady going to sing a Nirvana song at the end of this podcast. No, I will not be doing that.
Don't call Nirvana emo. They're not emo. Okay. I'm you know, like I was there at the fucking Metro 1992, Brady. Nevermind was the debut album of Nirvana, and I was there in the crowd with 900 other people saying, who are these punk kids from Seattle, you know? But they turned out to be pretty good, man. But yeah, they didn't have haircuts like that, okay? They had haircuts like this, like you see on your Uncle Wheezy. You know, this is how a man does long hair, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with a song to sing for this week. I was thinking maybe Green Day, because they have those haircuts, but I can't do Green Day, can't do it. So and yeah, no Nirvana, Butthole Tight. Come on, Joel. Come on, dude. Matt, they're letting Matt Schnell back in the cage.
Jimmy Flick, really?
Dude,
is that right?
That's a fun. He's coming out of retirement. I mean, you got to retire whenever Chris Toney's coming up to you and like, did you see that?
He dunked on him. He dunked on Matt Schnell. Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't believe it, man. Oh my God, he's fighting Jimmy Flick on April 26th. Wow. In the UFC. That's not going to be Dan Levy cage side calling it for NFC. You know, that's the UFC right there.
Yeah, by the way, have they arrested Kerry Hatley yet?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, yeah, they probably have at this point, right? Like at this point, you would think that they, or no,
they haven't.
I guess not. I don't know.
Have they arrested Tony Weeks?
30-27 Valentine. He really liked how he looked being controlled for over 13 minutes.
Tony Weeks, get some help. Get some help. And like, it's funny. Like, it was obvious a terrible scorecard, but it was just funny because, like, I don't know. I mean, that fight was awful. Like, I don't blame Tony Weeks. Why not throw a 30-27 out there for Valentine? Why not?
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised after that scorecard if Weeks wasn't like hazing fucking Finney from the cage side. Like, you suck, dude. Complete a takedown. This guy's from Switzerland and you can't hold him down. That was probably Weeks.
Probably was. Or he had a bet on Valentine. That could be the case.
Yeah, maybe he did.
We got Lucasoli.
Yes.
Lucasoli in the building. What is up, Lucasoli? Some of the things you've been posting lately have been terrible, dude. If you guys want to see just some awful, awful things, go check out Lucasoli's Twitter. Some of the things you were posting, I think it was today, were just kind of creeping me out. Just a little too far. But that's Lucasoli for you, right? That's Lucasoli for you. All right, so yeah, Tony Weeks has not been arrested. Neither has Kerry Hatley. So we're going to try to fix that in the very next couple weeks. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have an absolute banger. We got Darren Elkins going against Julian Rosa. We got Darren Elkins, 40 years old, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Julian Rosa, 35 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. We got Rosa, 5 years younger, 3-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. Elkins is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. A knockout loss against Cub Swanson, decision win against Tristan Connolly, a decision loss against Jonathan Pierce, submission win against Downtown TJ Brown, and then a decision win against Daniel Pineda. As far as Julian Rosa, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, a decision win against Hakeem Duwadu, knockout loss to Alex Caceres, knockout loss to Fernando Padilla, submission win against Ricardo Ramos, and a submission win against Christian Rodriguez. This is a fun fight. I think this is probably a fight that's going to go under the radar this week, and people kind of going to overlook it. But this fight's going to be awesome. 2 guys, 2 veterans just going at it. Julian Rosa has been knocked out like 8 times. It's ridiculous, but he's going against a 41-year-old Darren Elkins. So I kind of think it's a good match for Rosa. Like he's going against a guy that probably can't knock him out. Of course, Elkins can potentially, take him down here and there, but Rosa's going to have a big advantage on the feet. Rosa also has a very sneaky submission game as well. And yeah, Elkins, we call him the damage for a reason. This guy takes so much damage. I actually went back and I was watching like really old Elkins fights from 2015, 2016. And it's true about what they say about this dude, Wheezy. This guy bleeds in every fight. Like I was watching fights from 10 years ago and he was still bleeding. I mean, some of the scar tissue this guy has. And I'll always be a big fan of Elkins. I'll never forget the episode where he was fighting TJ Brown and I wanted to bet on Elkins. I go to his Instagram and he says, I had a torn MCL, a torn ACL, just listing off a handful of injuries and posted this picture. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna bet on this guy. I'm gonna bet on the guy that's in a wheelchair, and this guy wheeled his way to the cage in the apex and drowned TJ Brown and submitted him in the 3rd round. He cashed me a 3rd round submission prop. He went from being in a wheelchair to winning a fight, and he won against Daniel Pineda as well. But kind of just feels like a rough matchup. But that said, though, I mean, you can't lay -3 anything on -375 on Julian Rosa. It just seems very irresponsible, but at the same time, it's hard to pick somebody fighting in a wheelchair. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. All Darren Elkins fights are fun, and you don't want to be grappling with this guy. You really need to keep it at distance striking range if you're going to fight Darren Elkins, because I feel like they could wheel Darren Elkins out to the octagon at 55, put him in a wheelchair, wheel him out, and then literally wheel him up to Chris Taioni outside the cage where he checks the nails, checks to see that he's wearing the cup, puts the Vaseline on the face, and then he stands up out of that wheelchair. He goes in there, he gets a takedown in every round and just milks these dudes on the mat at 55 years old, at 60 years old. I think the corpse of Darren Elkins could go 2-4 in LFA 50 years from now. Because this guy's grappling is just really ridiculous. I mean, he's only been submitted once, and that was by Charles Oliveira. Outside of that, this guy's got 40 professional fights, and he spends 50% of his UFC cage time in control time positions. He's winning more than 2/3 of those control time positions. He's a wrestling legend. I mean, this guy is just somebody who's so comfortable on the ground, and he excels there. He really does. So Julian is going to have to really kind of fight smart here, because this is a fight that he should not be losing. But if he does not fight correctly, if he winds up underneath this dude, it's going to be a long night, man, because Darren Elkins could still grapple his ass off. I mean, even when you get on top of Elkins, he's immediately scrambling. He's immediately looking to go deep half and get in on his own single leg. He's throwing up submissions and sweep attempts. He's striking from the bottom. I can't believe this guy's conditioning and grappling ability is still where it is at this point in his career. So, yeah, I mean, I know that Rosa's a gigantic favorite here, but, there's a big difference in betting on Rosa as an underdog, Brady, and betting on him as a favorite. And I can assure you that with Rosa being this big of a favorite, it's probably something where this is probably a dog or pass situation. Because if you give Darren Elkins the fight that he wants, I don't care if he's 50, he's going to have a chance to win minutes against you and out grapple you and out scramble you and get out of bad positions that he's put in and put you in bad positions when you make mistakes. So this is going to be an interesting fight because I still feel like Darren Elkins can actually still win at this level if people give him the fight that he wants. And if you're dumb like TJ Brown is, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're kind of like Pineda, for instance, he's never had good takedown defense. He's never had good anti-grappling. He's got a phenomenal submission game, but he'll let you take him down because he likes to work that submission game. A guy like Elkins, you're not going to submit him. So you can't give him that fight. So Julian Rosa, historically at the UFC level, has 58% takedown defense. And he spends 30% of his fights in control time positions. And for Elkins, it's 50%. So like I say, you know, he's got to keep this standing, man.
Yeah. do they let wheelchairs in the cage, or does he have to get off of it?
No. You cannot do that because you could run over your opponent's foot, and there's other things you could use it to defend. You know, they won't let you bring the wheelchair in there unless, of course, your opponent is also in a wheelchair, in which case it is fair. And then I say you give them each a lance and you let them go at it like old school knights on horses, you know, in medieval times. But otherwise, no, you can't bring the wheelchair into the cage. But I think that would be such a cool bit. How cool of a bit would that be to be wheeled out there in a wheelchair and be like, I'm so fucking old that I need this wheelchair to get out to the cage, but I got 15 minutes left in me and I can out grapple you. And then Elkins is out there getting his hand raised while in the wheelchair after the fight's over.
That would be amazing. I think these two both might, you know, walk out of this fight with a wheelchair, man. I mean, I think this fight's gonna be a war. Like every Darren Elkins fight is just an absolute war. So Elkins getting milked, potential milking. We'll see. Tony Weeks is a good man. No, he doesn't seem like a good man to me. How is this MF for minus 400? Yeah, minus 375 for Rosa, plus 310 for Elkins. The over-under is about a pick 'em, which makes sense. I think it's going to be one of those fights where there's like 50 submission attempts, 50 knockdowns, and it might go the distance. It's just going to be an absolute freaking war. Juicy J will have to sub him. It's not going to be easy to sub Darren Elkins.
He's not subbing Darren Elkins.
That's for sure. Elkins can win this. Yep, definitely has a path. Brady's new hairstyle is peak. I'm glad somebody likes it. DXJC. Like I said, this wig was not expensive. I mean, this was not cheap. It was not a cheap wig. It was like 20 something bucks, dude. 20 something dollars for a wig. And then you factor in the shipping, the handling. It ended up being like $30.
Yeah, well, you know, it's either that or you grow your hair out to that exact hairstyle, which it's not worth the bit.
Yeah. So, I don't know. If Elkins was slick, I could see Rosa mirroring that. Elkins versus the hospital. Oh, jeez. Juicy by decision makes Elkins leak for 3 rounds. Elkins is probably going to start bleeding whenever he gets the Vaseline on him with the cut man. He's probably going to start bleeding with hopefully the air conditioning is turned down in Miami. The air conditioning might cut him open there. We got Buster. Good to see you in here, Buster. Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize.
We got Buster Cherry. We got Dixon Cider. We got Barry McCockiner. We got Loose Asshole. I mean, what is wrong with the Stat Diggers audience, you know?
Honestly, it makes me sick. Some of the comments tonight just made me sick, and this one was too far. This one took the cake. That was too far. I agree. And Dixon, you're the mod. Do your job. Do your job, Dixon. Why are you letting Buster Cherry in my chat room? Why are you letting Buster Cherry in the chat, dude? This is a PG show. My family watches this show. My mom's probably watching this show right now, and she has to hear Buster Cherry. That's sick. That's absolutely sick. Do your job, Dixon, or you're getting fired. Let's see here. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. And we have...
Oh, baby. And it's
good.
not even Abu Dhabi.
well, Dumas is from Florida. He's from Florida, so that's probably why he's fighting there. It's not in Abu Dhabi. We're going to get to see Dumas on the card. I'm looking forward to this one. We got Cedricus Dumas going against Mikel Olazechuk. We got Dumas, 29 years old, 6'2" with a 79-inch reach. We got Olazechuk, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. We got Olazechuk, 1 year older, 2-inch height disadvantage, and a 5-inch reach disadvantage. Dumas is a 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Submission loss to Josh Fremd, a decision win against Cody Brundage, decision win against Abu Azaitar, knockout loss to Nursultan Ruzaboev, and then decision win against Dennis Tuolu. And as far as Mikel Olazechuk, he is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Submission loss to Caio Bahayo, knockout win against Shidi and Jaquani, submission loss to Michelle Pereira and Kevin Holland, and then a decision loss to Shara Magomedov. So we have we're supposed to have 3 fighting nerds on the card, Wheezy. I think it was Prochus that pulled out, but now we have 2 fighting nerds on the card. Gene Silva, and you guessed it, Mikel Olazechuk, fighting nerd. Looking forward to seeing how he performs here. SD Dumas. This SD Dumas, Cedricus Dumas, I think is a great guy. This is a guy that will, follow all the laws. This is a guy that will stay out of trouble. And as you guys know, I did have a son. I had a son. He's about 1.5 years. And, Cedricus Dumas is somebody who I would want my son to look up to, like as a hero, as a role model, somebody that, follows the rules, somebody that, treats women with respect. He's a very respectable person, SD Dumas, just staying out of trouble, nice guy. He's the type of guy that'll walk an old lady across the street, right? Like really respectable guy, to the elders, to women especially. Just a very good guy, SD Dumas. So yeah, as a person, I think he's a class act. He's somebody that if I had a daughter, I'd let him date my daughter. Just a class act, because I know he would treat her with respect. He would treat her very good. But as a fighter, I don't know, dude. I mean, this guy, some of these fights, yes, he's winning fights, but holy crap, are these fights awful? And he's barely scraping by absolute bums. I mean, that Dennis Tuoluen fight, Dennis was having success. Dennis took him down 3 times. Dennis Tuoluen. The Abu Zaitar fight, I'm not even convinced he won that fight. The Brundage fight, nothing happened. These SD Dumas performances have just been awful. He looks uncomfortable there on the feet. I'm just not sure what he's good at other than, having the luxury of fighting Dennis Tuoluen and Abu Zaitar. So, yeah, I definitely like Olazechuk here. My one worry is the grappling of Olazechuk is a problem, has been, and potentially always will be. But a lot of those fights where it was a problem was at light heavyweight. And I'm not convinced that if SD Dumas can't take down and sub Dennis Tuoluen, is he going to take down and submit Mikel Olazechuk? I'm not so sure. So I like Mikel here. Again, I like Dumas as a person outside the cage. But inside the cage, I just don't see it with this guy. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, Cedricus needs to stop spending so much time volunteering for charity organizations and teaching English to inner city youth. And he needs to get in the gym and he needs to work harder, because nice guys finish last, Brady. In this sport, you want to go out there and you want to be a nice guy. You want to go out there and sit there and work with crippled kids and do telethons and stuff like that. There's a place for that in this world. The world needs more kindness. This is MMA, so we need people that are mean in there. And I don't know if Cedricus is mean enough, but unless it's a rapper that he's beefing with, in which case he can get a little bit crunked up in there. But I think in order for Dumas to have success here, he's probably going to need to wrestle because Oluk Sejcik has 48% takedown defense. He can be taken down and held down, but Mikhail's got crazy power for this weight class. He's landed 7 knockdowns in the UFC and absorbed 0. He's got 48% accuracy, 61% defense. He's landing a knockdown on 1.4% of the significant strikes that he lands. So Mikhail is somebody that really does have great striking. And I think the game's going to get a little bit rounded out now that he's working down there in Sao Paulo. But kind of weird, right? For a guy from Poland to go and work with a bunch of Brazilians. I mean, I would imagine that the language barrier there is pretty difficult. So that's going to be interesting to see what a fighting nerd's version of Mikhail Oleksiejczuk looks like. They could completely fuck him up. They could completely destroy this guy because he's got a very unique style of fighting that is not necessarily something like no coaches are out there going, that's the guy. That's the guy I want you to look like. Oleksiejczuk, the guy that looks like Jim Carrey in Me, Myself, and Irene when he's having the multiple personalities problems like that. That's the way that he fights. So this is going to be an interesting one, man. Will Dumas be able to get the grappling going and win some minutes on top? Because Dumas has got some decent kicks as well, but those wins, man. Cody Brundage on short notice, Abu Azaitar, Dennis Tialulin.
Oh,
yeah, right. I mean, like in the Tialulin fight was not a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. And I mean, like, and if you're fighting Abu Azaitar, who I like to call Asatar, and you're not getting him out of there, that's a bad sign, man. That's a bad sign. So I think that Oleksiejczuk should be looking good for this one. But, Cedriques is still young, like I say, and he's a good person. And that counts for something in this world, Brady. It counts for something.
There's not a lot of good people left nowadays. But I'm glad we have somebody like Esti Dumas, on the streets. Again, just very respectable dude. But yeah, we'll take a look at the odds. If this was a fight of, who was the better person, who was the law-abiding citizen, Esti Dumas would be minus 1,000. But luckily, the odds are based on, fighting styles and et cetera, et cetera. We have Dumas actually as the underdog. Oleksiejczuk opened up minus 250, currently minus 200. Dumas opened up plus 210. He's currently plus 170. The over-under set at 1.5, right? Yeah, 1.5, right? The over 1.5 minus 170. The under 1.5 is plus 140. I like Oleksiejczuk a lot in this fight. Yeah, the worry would be like Dumas grappling. But again, like if you're going life and death with the grappling with Dennis Tialulin, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Brady. Like Mikhail, if he gets on top, dude, his ground and pound is nasty.
Oh, it's very nasty.
It's very good. He finished Chidi Njokuani with ground and pound. He finished Cody Brundage with ground and pound. He can really work there. So yeah, that's something that, like, if Dumas tries to get takedowns, but he's not efficient with them and he winds up on the bottom, that could be really bad for him. And Oleksiejczuk can knock anybody out early. That dude has just got crazy power.
Yeah, I don't hate a total here. The only thing is I just really struggle to see Esti finishing anybody ever. I mean, if you're not finishing Dennis Tialulin, if you're not finishing Abu Azaitar, if you're not finishing Cody Brundage, I'm just not sure he'll ever finish anybody. But Oleksiejczuk has been submitted how many times? Like, what, 4 or 5?
We got it right there on the page. It's 6, Brady. It's 6.
Yeah, it's
6 times, 5 times in the UFC, and he only has 7 UFC losses.
Yeah, so maybe like an under, because I think Oleksiejczuk should knock him out. But if this fight does hit the ground, Esti Dumas does have some sneaky grappling game, kind of.
Pretty good guillotine choke that he got panache with on Dana White's Contender Series.
He did. I know that wig's annoying you by now, Brady. Absolutely, it is.
Dude, you got to be sweating like a whore in church underneath that thing right about now.
It's terrible. We got in
Infinite Kite.
Infinite Kite. Shout out to Infinite Kite with the $2 dono saying just here for the wig. Ola Zaychuk, round 1 or round 2. Pipe and swipe. Ooh, I like that.
I like it.
The pipe and
The
swipe.
old pipe and swipe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad people like the wig. Like I said, it wasn't cheap. Shout out to Avery. You know, the show's sponsored by Avery. I wouldn't have got this without him, man. The wig is very expensive. It's a very expensive wig. And, you know, with a hairstyle like this, because you don't see a hairstyle like this too often, right? Yeah, I had to
In
really
emo bands, you see it actually all the time.
Yeah, but you don't
Yeah.
nowadays, right? Like early 2000s, you would see something like this, right? Or like early 2000s.
Yeah, sure.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2025. We don't see many haircuts like this. And with a haircut like this, I feel like I should be singing like Fall for You by Secondhand Serenade. So, because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you over again. Don't make me change my mind, or I won't live to see another day. I swear it's true, because a girl like you's impossible to find. She's impossible, so breathe in so deep. Breathe me in, I'm yours to keep. And hold on to your words, 'cause talk is cheap. And remember me tonight when you're asleep. Because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you over again. Don't make me change my mind, for I won't live to see another day. I swear it's true, because a girl like you's impossible to find. You're impossible to find. All right. Hey, and nobody say I copied Volk. Volk's bitch ass copied me. Volk stole my bit. Wheezy, I put on the Liang Na wig 2 years ago, and I sang that song. And did you see Volk's out there stealing my bit?
Yeah. I got Tony Romo out there on Twitter's calling fucking Eastern Illinois the Harvard of the Midwest. Like Northern Illinois isn't the Harvard of the Midwest. Dude, when you put on a show like this, every goddamn week we're here, Brady, busting our ass, fucking putting on a show for the people for free, by the way. And these people, how do they repay us? They steal our fucking shit, and it's bullshit.
Stealing our bits. I have timestamps.
Yeah.
I put the wig on first. I sang the song first. Volk, you stole my bit. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, and Tony Romo, great quarterback, great football announcer. Eastern Illinois, the Harvard of the Midwest? I think not, my friend. Northern Illinois University, Harvard of the Midwest. Go Huskies. That's where academic minds go to flourish, my friend. DeKalb, Illinois.
So Tony Romo, fan of the show. Alexander Volkanovski, fan of the show. We have a lot of fans of the show out. Delidze, big. I think Delidze is our biggest fan. He's always watching. Roman Delidze.
Yeah. Well, Roman's a great fighter. He understands, where you can go to get the best, the most entertaining, and we entertain and inform here, Brady, on Stat Diggers.
Absolutely. And speaking of entertaining, we have Jim Miller going against Chase Hooper. We got Jim Miller, 41 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. Chase Hooper, 25 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. We got Chase Hooper, 16 years younger. He's going to have a 5-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage. Jim Miller, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss to Alexander Hernandez. Knockout win against Jesse Butler. Submission win against Gabriel Benitez. Decision loss against Bobby Green. And then a submission win against Damon Jackson. As far as Chase Hooper, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Knockout loss to Steve Garcia. Decision win against Nick Fiore. Submission win against Jordan Levitt, Slava Borshev, and Clay Guida. And yeah, Jim Miller, man, this guy has 58 fight. I think it'd be like his 59th fight here. He's almost 42 years old. He's taken a lot of damage. I think we're starting to see the end of Jim Miller. With that said, though, he's still going out there. He's still able to win fights and finish some of these guys like a Damon Jackson, like a Jesse Butler, like a Nicholas Moda. But Chase Hooper's a guy that I think this guy's for real. Early on, I think he came into the UFC at like 19, 20 years old, maybe even younger. And I wasn't completely sold on the guy at the time, but I knew that, he had potential to, make a ton of improvements and get better. And boy, has he ever. The striking of Chase Hooper looks better than ever. The wrestling is getting better. And of course, we know he always has that really slick jiu-jitsu, very long, rangy guy, long arms, long legs, very awkward style to deal with. The ground and pound looks absolutely vicious. What he did to Slava Borshev was disgusting. Keith Peterson should be ashamed of himself for not stopping that fight and cashing your Uncle Wheezy a KO2 in that fight. I couldn't freaking believe it. But yeah, the ground and pound looks good. And yeah, Jim Miller, you go back like probably 3-4 years ago when he was younger, like 37, 36. This dude's getting just washed on the map by Joe Selecki. Right? Like Joe Selecki's taking this guy down, controlling him for 15 minutes. Vince Pichel's taking Jim Miller down. I think it's a really bad match for Jim Miller here, unfortunately. And it's no hot take. Chase Hooper's minus 700.
Yeah.
Miller still has power. He still has a very dangerous submission game, but I think this should be Chase Hooper. And I think somebody's probably getting destroyed here. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this fight? I'm really looking forward to this one. Is this one on the prelims? If so, that's insane.
Yeah, it is. But, this is a great card. We've got a really good card here, and it's another great showcase spot for Chase Hooper coming off of beating up a legend of the sport in Clay Guida, where he was like a minus 1,000, minus 1,200 against Guida, and now here he is minus 700 against Miller. And normally when I see lines like this, I always say, oh, yeah, it's dog or pass or, like that kind of stuff. But, I think this line's correct, man. I think Chase Hooper is the truth. I think he's going to be a serious problem for this division. His grappling is phenomenal. His pace is phenomenal. His output is phenomenal. He's durable. And he's got, really, really opportunistic Brazilian jiu-jitsu and scrambling ability. And the way that he fights, you have to have elite cardio. And Chase Hooper has that. So I don't see Chase Hooper losing for a very long time, Brady. I really don't. I don't know how many people you can put in front of this guy today that would be able to stick with that pace. And when Chase starts getting 5-round fights, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for whoever he's fighting because Chase is just going to keep turning up, and he's fighting a 41-year-old man. This is, you got to be a young man with phenomenal conditioning to keep up with the pace that Chase Hooper is going to put on you. So yeah, I think Chase is going to run through Jim here. This is, I don't know. I don't even know why Jim took this fight. This is not a good fight for him, man. And let's talk about that Bobby Green fight because that was a life-changing beating at the age of 40. He absorbed almost 200 significant strikes in that fight over a 15-minute period. Yeah, I think Chase is going to just run through Jim Miller. I don't think that this is going to be close at all.
Yep. And the line is suggesting that Chase Hooper opened up minus 400, currently minus 750. Jim Miller opened up plus 330, currently plus 550. And it wouldn't shock me if this line got wider. I know it's Jim Miller, but I just don't like the matchup for him. And I'm with you in terms of I think Chase Hooper, this guy's the real deal. So they actually had this over-under set at 2.5. They took it off, and they now have this fight set at 1.5 rounds. So,
okay, what is the over on? I got to see if I had that at 2.5 or 1.5 when I put it. Oh, I had it at 1.5. Is the under 1.5 still plus 155?
I think so. Yeah, around there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I would definitely like that 2.5, get those extra 5 minutes. But yeah, I think Jim Miller, his win condition's a round 1 knockout, right?
Or a submission. Because if you wind up in his guillotine, that's going to be a problem for even an elite grappler. You don't want to be in Jim Miller's guillotine, and Chase might wind up there because he's so confident scrambling that he could put himself into some positions where Jim could cause some problems for him. But yeah, man, under 1.5 here plus 155. My model likes that actually quite a bit. Says it's a little bit underpriced.
As long as Keith Peterson's not reffing, or God forbid, Jason Herzog better be staying far away from Miami as possible.
That was crazy, man, because I needed that Reese McKee fight to get into the 3rd round, and when I saw Herzog was in there, I was like, oh, thank God, And yeah, Frunze got dropped 5 times and he still didn't stop the fight.
I know it was insane. It was insane. Thank you, Bray. Okay.
There you go.
That was arousing. Okay. If you guys have not dropped a like, drop us a like. Drop us a like. Appreciate that. Forgot to donate. Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate that. We do appreciate that. Yeah, Wheezy, where's my backup? Where's my backup?
Yeah, I'm a baritone, man. So we got to be doing like Barry White songs and shit like that if I'm going to be getting involved. Teddy Pendergrass, Barry White, anything by all them witches, you know, which is somebody that would have a voice like me. That's where I kind of really begin to shine. Yeah.
We'll cook something up. We'll cook something up.
Yeah.
Brady, round 2, round 3 props against Volk at 2,100 and 2,500. Yeah, it looks like they have props out for the main event, which is awesome. Wheezy is are you mayor of Chicago?
No, actually, the mayor of Chicago actually right now has an 8% approval rating, Brady.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is he's actually doing worse than our previous mayor, which I thought was going to be mathematically impossible. But God, I live in Chicago, which is a land of just complete dumbasses that vote for the worst politicians in the world. Yeah, we got them right here in Chicago, baby.
Jeez, 8%. Like, I'm not the best at math, but 8% is not great by any means.
Yeah, that's like Torres Finney's approval ratio right now. It's right around 8%.
Oh yeah, right around there. Getting my milk money Saturday. Yeah, let's get some milk money, man. Let's get some milk money Saturday. We got Freedom Guy got in on a Hooper at -400. Cash that CLV. Hopefully you don't get that CLV curse. What else have we got in here? I saw you in there, D. What is up, D? Good to see you. What's with Kennedy Nzechukwu? Yeah. I don't know, but we need to find out because something has to be seriously wrong with Kennedy. Have you heard anything yet, Wheezy? Is Kennedy okay? Like, is he still alive?
I don't know, dude. I mean, like, it's got to be so bad. Do you remember when Johnny Parsons pulled out of a fight against Michael Gilmore?
Yeah. Yes.
Has anybody seen Johnny Parsons alive since that happened? Think about it. Like, you don't pull out of an easy fight in the UFC unless you are dying. And if you pull out of a Martin Budai fight on fight week, I don't even know if Kennedy's still alive. He might have to have a leg amputated. He might have been in a horrible car accident. He might have the AIDS or the cancer. Something is wrong with Kennedy right now.
Yeah, I'm worried about it. I haven't heard from him. Hopefully he's all right. Weezy could probably bust out some Creed.
I think I've got a similar haircut, but yeah, I mean, like, I guess maybe I could. I just don't know any of their songs, but yeah, like I say, man, it's got to be something with a little bit of bass in the voice, you know?
Yeah. Let's see. Yes. All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next fight. It is. Oh boy. Yes.
Here we go.
Yes. 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 Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes. Verna Jandaroba, my guy, my girl, versus Yan Xiaonan. We got Verna Jandaroba, 36 years old, 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. Yan Xiaonan, 35 years old, 5'5" with a 63-inch reach. We got Yan Xiaonan, 1 year younger, 2-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. We have Yan Xiaonan, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. You came to the wrong show. You came to the wrong. If you don't want to hear that, you better get the hell out. You better get the hell out of this show.
Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, Mega Dan, because this is our show, and that is a handsome woman.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. So anyway, Yan Xiaonan, she is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. A decision loss to Marina Rodriguez, decision win against Mackenzie Dern, a knockout win against Jessica Andrade, a decision loss to Zhang Wei Li, and a decision win against Tabitha Ricci. As far as Verna Jandaroba, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, decision loss to Mandy Hebos, a decision win against Angela Hill, a decision win against Marina Rodriguez, a decision win against Lupe Godinez and a submission win against Amanda Lemos. Really looking forward to this fight. Really looking forward to any time Verna Jandiroba is in there. She, I think, ranked number 1 on my top 5 handsome fighters list, and I think she's stayed there the last several years. So a big fan of Verna Jandiroba and her style of a striker versus grappler matchup here, Wheezy, to the highest degree. What are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, it's going to be about which fighter gets there, controls the pace and where this fight takes place, because if it takes place at distance striking range, Jan is going to piece up Virna, but Virna is going to need to, close that distance, get very, very close to Jan and start to try to work her to the ground. And once she does that, it doesn't really matter if Virna is on top or on bottom. She's going to be extremely dangerous, and you're going to be defending wherever it is. Like I say, it doesn't matter as long as the fight's on the ground. If you're there with Virna, you will be defending. So, and we've just seen Jan put in really bad spots on the mat. When Wei Li was getting her there, obviously it was a really bad look. When Carla Esparza got her down, she finished her. So these are, you can't have Virna Jandiroba on top of you if you're getting finished by those girls, if you're getting finished by a Carla Esparza. So I can't wait for this fight because both of these ladies need to win right now. Virna's 36 going on 37 here at the end of May, and Yana Xiaonan is 35, and she's got maybe one more chance to get that title. And it's going to be a great striker versus grappler matchup here, but Virna is just so physical right now. The way that what she did to Lemos was really impressive. Lupe's a very good wrestler, and Virna was still finding ways to get to advantageous positions on the mat against her. She rinsed Marina on the mat, obviously. Angela Hill. I max bet Virna Jandiroba against Amanda Ribas, and she came out to Island Boy. And and I lost 5 units there. And then she went on a 4-fight winning streak after that. So my timing was wrong. It was just so wrong on Virna because she's looked phenomenal since that Ribas fight. But what happened in the Ribas fight, Brady? She wasn't able to get takedowns in rounds 2 or 3. And when that happened, she got pieced up by Ribas on the feet. And I would see that this fight would go the exact same way because Godinez was kind of willingly engaging in that grappling with Virna, wasn't she? She had some chances to get away, and she was staying there while Jan's going to get away the first chance she gets. She knows what she needs to do to win this fight, and she's not going to, dilute herself into thinking that she can win some of the grappling exchanges here. So it's going to be about Jan's takedown defense and ability to get back up. But the thing is that Jan spends, 35% of her fights in control time positions at this level. And that's a pretty big ratio going up against somebody like Virna Jandiroba, who's getting those takedowns, who's dominating those positions, and who has more than one way to skin a cat. She doesn't necessarily need a takedown, Brady. She can go for an Imanari roll. She can pull guard. She could take your back standing. There's a number of different ways that she can initiate the grappling exchanges, and then she can go from step 1 to 2 to 3, and then all of a sudden she's swept you, she's on top of you, and now you're just playing defense until the end of the round. So Virna can win minutes, she can win moments, but she can only do it when she's in close. So I think she's going to be able to find those opportunities to be able to get in close to work the grappling exchanges here. And once she does, it's going to be difficult for Jan to find separation again.
Yeah, I mean, two takedowns probably wins the fight for Virna. Just needs to.
Yeah, because Jan's probably not knocking her out, right? So like even if she does stay up for a full round, Jan's probably not getting Virna out of there. So even Virna was in trouble big time in round 2 and 3 against Ribas, but she showed a lot of heart and a lot of durability. So yeah, I mean, Jan's just got to find some grappling success in 2 out of these 3 rounds, and this will be her fight.
Yeah, man, I like Virna's game. The wrestling's not bad. The jiu-jitsu is obviously very, very good. She has good vision on the feet. She can kind of see what's coming at her. But yeah, it's the ground game that's very, very, very impressive. And she's going to try to use it here. So yeah, Verna opened up minus 200. She's currently minus 148. And Yan Jianan opened up plus 170. She's currently plus 128. The over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 minus 180. The under 2.5 is plus 150. Judging by those totals, it doesn't look like we're going to get like a Verna plus 400 submission prop like we usually do.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough, because Jan's been out there against some really good fighters, like Mackenzie Dern, like Zhang Wei Li, and she's not getting submitted or knocked out by them.
Well, she did. She got subbed by Zhang Wei Li
and knocked out. But it wasn't official though. Brady is my point. It still has to be official for us to cash the bets. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
I went back and watched that last night, and she was out cold with the choke, and Herzog lifted her up and made sure she's okay. And she was about to fall, and Herzog like grabbed her arm. Like, you can't do that. And then she went to the corner, and the cut man was like, "Do you want me to wake her up?" And then shoved like smelling salts in her nose or something. It was that's cheating.
How the hell can you even bring smelling salt into the cage? It's the cornerman. Like, it shouldn't be legal, right? Like, if you need the smelling salts, shouldn't the fight be over?
You would think.
You don't smell those things when you're sober and good, unless you're like a masochist.
That's why if I have an under, I want Herzog staying far, far away from the fight. Far, far away from the fight.
Yeah.
Verna, isn't he that guy from the 51st State? I think so. I think Verna was in the 51st States movie.
I didn't see that one.
Rob Schneider.
Oh, yeah, I did not see that one. Okay, yeah.
You haven't seen 51st Dates?
No, I didn't see that one.
Wow. I'm a big Adam Sandler guy, so I've seen like every Adam Sandler movie known to man, even the bad ones.
Yeah, there are a few bad ones, but there's some really good ones, man. There's some really good ones that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, I even think like the bad ones people say are bad are good. I'm just a big Adam Sandler fan. Verna should have got the title shot over Tatiana, probably, but even then, like, I don't think it matters. I think Zhang Wei Li would probably destroy Verna very badly.
It'd be a tough matchup. Zhang Wei Li's a tough matchup for anybody in the division.
Can't pull up that comment. El Pinche. Let's see. How much donations for Brady to change his wallpaper? I'll do it for free. Are you kidding me? Big fan of Verna. Yeah, I mean, hopefully she doesn't walk out to anything like that this time.
I knew I was sunk when she came out to that song.
That'd be terrible. We got Paku _MMA with the $5 dono saying Big Cage helps Yan. True. She needs footwork, reactions, and solid hips, and she could make this fight look easy. Yan is the pick. Very solid underdog. Paku looking at Yan. Yeah, if she keeps the fight standing, especially for 15 minutes like she did in the Ricci fight, she will look like the favorite. But Ricci kind of fought like a complete idiot in that fight, attempting one half-assed takedown. I'm not sure what was up with that, but yeah.
She's dating a boxer, and she probably deluded herself into thinking she was better than she was at distance striking range. All these fighters, man, they fall in love with their hands. They fall in love with their grappling sometimes, and they get away from what it was that they did best. Sabatini was saying the exact same thing this week, that like he was getting away from his grappling when he was losing, thinking that he needed to strike more. He's like, fuck that. I'm going to grapple. That's where I'm at my best.
Yeah, exactly. Keith Peterson loves smelling. No, he loves alcohol and he loves cigarettes. But I think he's not drinking anymore. I think he's sober.
He's lost a lot of weight, that's for sure.
It's a good for Keith Peterson, and he's not making like egregious, calls in there. He's not letting people die anymore. He's doing good. That's
helping.
Yeah. So maybe Herzog. I don't know what's up with Herzog, but maybe lay off the kelp. Is that what is that his thing? Kelp.
Herzog is on kelp.
I don't know. I don't know. They say he likes kelp and caffeine.
Kelp is seaweed, isn't it?
Apparently, that's his diet: kelp and caffeine. That's what I heard. I don't know.
That's messed up. What is he, plankton?
I think he might be.
That's so messed up. I don't like who eats I don't know. That's weird. That's some weird ass California shit, man.
Yeah. It is it sounds like a California thing
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I did not come up with that. I literally heard that. So, yeah. All right. Moving on to the next fight. It is Dan Ige going against Sean Woodson. We got Dan Ige, 33 years old, 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. Sean Woodson, 32 years old, 6'2" with a 78-inch reach. We got Sean Woodson, 1 year younger. Sean Woodson with a 5-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. Dan Ige is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision win against Nate Landwehr. Decision loss to Bryce Mitchell. Knockout win against Andre Fili. Decision loss to Diego Lopez and a decision loss to Lerone Murphy. As far as Sean Woodson, 4-0-1 draw in his last 5 fights. A draw against Luis Saldana. A decision win against Dennis Bazukia. Decision win against Charles Jourdain. A decision win against Alex Caceres. And a knockout win against Fernanda Padilla. So, yeah, this is a very interesting fight. This is one of your classic minute winner versus moment winner type fight. Sean Woodson is going to have a big height advantage, a big reach advantage. He's going to look 2 weight classes bigger than Dan Ige. He's going to have a big volume advantage. He has really good boxing. And then Dan Ige is going to be a little bit lower volume, but he's going to be landing the bigger, much more impactful shots. Dan Ige has all the finish upside. He has the grappling upside, although it's not easy to take Sean Woodson down. So, yeah, it's a very interesting fight. And quite frankly, it's a really big step up in competition for Sean Woodson. Like, this is a guy that could have potentially lost to Luis Saldana. If Luis Saldana didn't have awful fight IQ, Saldana would have won the fight that night. Saldana dropped him twice, and instead of finishing him, he kneed him illegally, and he jumped on top of the cage celebrating. And the ref took a point, and then Woodson ended up winning the last 2 rounds. But Saldana very well could have finished Woodson in that fight, which would have been a horrible look. And then he beats Jourdain, Bazooka, Caceres, and Fernando Padilla. If he beats Dan Ige, it's going to be his best win by an absolute mile. What I will say is Sean Woodson looked career best against Fernando Padilla, but I'm not sure what happened there, Wheezy. I was actually at that fight live, and I had a bet on Fernando Padilla finish only because, Padilla, he's a very tough, durable guy.
Mm-hmm.
Woodson has like a 30% finish rate. There's no way Woodson's finishing Fernando Padilla, who's again, super tough and very dangerous, BJJ black belt. And Woodson goes out there and doesn't just finish him. He makes him look silly. Fernando Padilla runs face first into several shots and gets finished in the very first round. Was it because Sean Woodson made just a ton of improvements all of a sudden, or was something up with Fernando Padilla that night? Kind of leaning towards something was up with Fernando Padilla that night because God, did he look awful. But yeah, big step up here. Dan Ige is not Fernando Padilla. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this one? It's a very intriguing fight, and there's definitely a case to be made for both sides here. What are your thoughts?
First of all, I just want to say that, like, as somebody who bet Fernando Padilla fairly heavily in his last fight against Sean Woodson, that was one of the most bizarre performances. Like, as a capper, I remember that one fucking bothered me, because Padilla was my dog of the week. I was saying that there was a 0% chance that he was going to get finished by Sean Woodson. I was calling Sean Woodson the pillow fist. I was saying Fernando Padilla is one of the most durable guys in the division. He had never been finished in his career of like 25 fights up to that point. And if somebody said to me, hey, Wheezy, show me a fight where it looks like somebody is literally trying to get knocked out, I would show them Fernando Padilla versus Sean Woodson. Constant pressure from Padilla with his hands down, and he wasn't throwing. He was walking on to everything that Sean Woodson threw. So either that was just a masterclass performance by Woodson, or like you say, something was going on with Padilla. Woodson's going to be a difficult guy to take down. That's something that we would like to see Dan Ige maybe get a little bit of his wrestling game going here against a boxer like Woodson. But it's going to be difficult, man. Sean Woodson is a very tricky opponent to deal with. The length, the height, the good boxing, the good head movement, everything that he does at distance striking range is technically sound, and because of his size and length that you can't plan for and that you can't teach, it just makes him a very difficult opponent to score off of. You try to take him down, but he's so long and he's got really good cage wrestling. Look at that 86% takedown defense that he's got. His opponents are attempting almost 7 takedowns per 15 minutes against him, and he's stuffing takedowns at an 86% clip. He's being controlled for 18% of his cage time, but I guarantee you, most of that is cage control time, not ground control time, because people just aren't getting this guy to the mat. The question is, Ige can win minutes here if he's able to get some wrestling going, and he can win moments if he lands that big right hand of his. So I think that Ige is live in a couple of different ways to win this fight. But Woodson's going to have to fight a pretty perfect fight to get his hand raised here, because he's going to have to avoid the bonk and he's going to have to avoid the takedown. And, trying to do both at the same time leaves you with a lot of thoughts in your head, So I'm interested to see how this one plays out, because like you said, Brady, if Woodson gets this win, it's a real eye-opener, and he's going to be a top 15 guy going forward, and he's going to be a very difficult and unique stylistic matchup for these guys in the top 15 to deal with, because of that length, because of that boxing ability, and because of the solid takedown defense. So, yeah, I think I kind of like Woodson here, but like I say, because Ige is plus money, there are paths here for him to win minutes and moments in this fight. So I think it's going to be a pretty close fight.
Yep, minute winning versus moment winning. I mean, you got to think about it too. Like if Sean Woodson wins this fight, it's by decision. It's got to be by decision, and at that point, it will come into the hands of the crooked, corrupt judge. We get some weird scorecards here. We could, are the judges favoring the volume of Woodson, or are they favoring the big, more impactful shots of Dan Ige? Who knows? Who knows what they're thinking? Who knows what Tony Weeks is thinking? Sal D'Amato, Ron McCarthy. Who knows what these guys are thinking?
Yeah, they're just doing what their bosses tell them to do.
Yeah,
But
this is an interesting line, because Sean Woodson was actually a dog at one point, couple like less than a week ago. He was a plus 100. Now he's minus 170. Money's pouring in on Sean Woodson. Dan Ige is a plus 145 underdog. The over-under set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 minus 250. The under 2.5 at plus 200. So yeah, money pouring in on one Sean Woodson.
Yeah, he's on a roll, dude. 13-1 as a pro. 7-1 in the UFC with a draw. But the Saldana fight, people got to remember that one.
Yeah, like Dixon said something about it with the Saldana fight. So apparently, Sean's mom got arrested earlier that day by the FBI for embezzling $500K to gamble.
That's wild.
That is wild. But I mean, Dixon, his mom got arrested, but that's no excuse to almost losing and getting dropped by Luis Saldana, right? Like, you shouldn't. I don't care what happened to you. I don't care if you are fighting blindfolded. Getting dropped twice by Luis Saldana is just not the best look. But yeah, I'll have to go see that. Where's it at? Dixon, let me know. I'll go check it out.
Probably got something on Fight Pass.
She took money from her job to go gamble. Goodness. But Sean helped her pay it all back. Good. Does Sean Woodson have a butt, or is it all legs? Oh, it's all legs.
Yeah, he's got a neuro ass, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's no Norma Dumas, I'll tell you.
He's nuts.
I'll tell you that. Big Ron McCarthy. Oh God. Terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible. I don't care if you're watching Haley Cowan tape, you shouldn't be getting dropped by Luis Saldana. You shouldn't be. You absolutely shouldn't be. Woodson versus Diego Lopez, who would win? I mean, I would take Diego Lopez, but I've never really been high on Woodson. But hey, the guy keeps getting it done. So we'll see if he's able to beat Dan Ige. Moving on to, this is now the main card opener since we lost the Prochas fight. We got Nikita Krillov, and what a main card opener this is going to be. It's a Krillov fight, so we know it's going to be fireworks. We got Nikita Krillov, 33 years old, 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. We got Dominic Reyes, 35 years old, 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. Krillov, 2 years younger. Reyes with a 1-inch height advantage and got the same reach there. Krillov is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss to Magomed Ankalaev. Submission loss to Paul Craig. Knockout win against Alexander Gustafsson. A decision win against Volkan Oezdemir. Then a submission win against Ryan Spann. As far as Dominic Reyes, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. A knockout loss to Jan Blachowicz. Knockout loss to Yuri Prochazka. Knockout loss against Ryan Spann. Knockout win against Dustin Jacoby. And then a knockout win against Anthony Smith. Yeah, this is a very tricky fight for me because Nikita Krillov, this guy is just a complete madman in those first 5 minutes. This guy is the definition of swinging dicks. He's going to look to get the fight down to the ground. He's a very good grappler offensively, but defensively, he leaves a lot of openings. He's actually been submitted like 5 or 6 times, if not more. Doesn't have to really worry about that here. But yeah, a lot of people were writing off Dominic Reyes after getting brutally knocked out 3 times in a row. Including me. I was kind of writing him off as well. He was actually a pretty big underdog against Dustin Jacoby. He goes out there and knocks out Dustin Jacoby, and then he goes out there and knocks out Anthony Smith. But yeah, that durability concern is still in the back of my head because Krillov, this guy hits hard. This guy definitely hits hard. He rocked Volkan Oezdemir. He absolutely destroyed Alexander Gustafsson. Destroyed a couple other guys as well. So it's kind of the chin that worries me with Reyes. And it's also the ground game with Reyes because he has shown great takedown defense throughout his UFC career, but it hasn't really been tested that much. Like it got tested a little bit against Chris Weidman, but he was just so much bigger than Weidman in that fight. Other than that, hasn't really been tested. So, I don't know. This is a chaotic fight, a fight that I don't really want to lay -205 on Krillov, but Krillov knocking out or even submitting Reyes wouldn't shock me here. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, like this is a dog or pass scenario for me, just because, first of all, with Krillov, the guy is just an absolute finisher. He's a killer be killed fighter, but he's not going to be like this crazy moment winner. He's 2-2 in decisions as a professional, while Reyes is 3-1, and Reyes is the better striker. I mean, obviously, he's the guy that's going to be the cleaner kickboxer at range. Krillov's more of a volume guy. Krillov just spams volume, whether it's offensive takedown attempts, striking attempts, clinch attempts, anything that he goes in to do. He's just looking to throw offense. But the problem is, Brady, that he hasn't fought in 2 years. And the reason for the long layoff was, from what I'm hearing, serious shoulder surgery. So that's going to be a problem here because there's no recent activity for Krillov. And he's 33 years old on a 2-year layoff. So this is a guy who's got a lot of miles on that engine of his. And Reyes is a little bit young, Reyes is older, but he's been a lot more active lately. So he's also been fighting the higher level of competition lately, I think. So it's an interesting one, but the problem is that Reyes lost to Ryan Spann. So if you're backing Reyes, you're backing a guy that lost to Ryan Spann, and that's a problem.
He didn't just lose to Ryan Spann. He died.
He got knocked out by a jab in the first round. Yeah. So he got the win against Jacoby. He got the win against Anthony Smith, a couple of older fighters. Now you got a 33-year-old Krillov coming in who hasn't fought in 2 years. So I could see Krillov being a real problem here for the first round. But if this gets out of the first round, I'm interested to see what happens, man. Like, I feel like I've got I would bet Reyes here if I had to make a bet pre-tape, but I got to go back and watch Krilov's tape because I know what I'm going to see. I'm just going to see chaos, right? Am I going to see anything else besides chaos when I watch Krilov's last 4 fights besides the Oezdemir one, which went to decision?
Yeah, just a bunch of chaos, dude. Bunch of dick swinging.
Yeah, and I mean, just a ton of volume. Like, you look at a guy like Chase Hooper, right? Who's, a lightweight with crazy cardio and crazy output. And Nikita Krillov is attempting more distance strikes per minute than fucking Chase Hooper.
That's actually insane.
That's insane. And then you look at the takedowns. He's attempting 6 takedowns per 15 minutes, in addition to 16.7 distance strike attempts. He's finished 9 of his 11 wins. So this is a guy who is just spamming offense. And because of that, he leaves the door open to be countered, to be swept, for submission attempts from his opponents as well. So, you can never go wrong betting unders in a Nikita Krillov fight. And here you got a guy in Reyes who's been knocked out by Ryan Spann.
Oh,
And yeah. And then on the other side in Krillov, you've got a guy who's on a 2-year layoff coming off of major shoulder surgery. His country's at war. There's a lot of things going on with Krillov here that we could maybe think that he might not be 100% going into this fight. In addition, long flight from the Ukraine to Miami here, while Reyes will be much closer. So, I think that Reyes at plus money is probably the side here, because I think if you get out of round 1 and you have a Reyes ticket, you're going to be feeling a lot better than the people holding Krillov tickets.
yeah, this is going to be a car crash. The only reason I lean Krillov here, I'm not betting him or anything like that, is I think there's a significant durability advantage. This guy, Krillov, can take a shot. Only been dropped once. He's been in the UFC for a very long time. I think since like 2013.
Yeah, and he was fighting heavyweight for a while too, right?
Yeah, so this is a guy that goes into a car crash every time. He's only been dropped once. That's just insane to me.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I think he fought Walt Harris back in the day. His only knockout.
Walt Harris hits hard, dude.
Walt Harris hits very hard. His only knockout loss was like a 3rd round TKO. It was the first fight he was out of the first round ever in his career. And that was back in like 2013. Other than that, he's just been durable. Whereas Dominic Reyes just cannot say the same. So that's why I do lean Krillov, but he's just not the type of guy I personally want to lay minus 200 on. Just a lot of variance in his fights.
Yeah, agreed. And I'd rather play Krillov as an underdog.
Yeah, or the under. I mean, he's minus 205. The under is plus money. I don't understand that, because I kind of think if Krilov's winning, it's in the first round. But yeah, the under 1.5 plus 135. The over 1.5 is minus 165. Krillov minus 205. Dominic Reyes plus 175. It's gonna be such a fun fight. Such a fun fight. Has the milking of the week been announced? No, we will announce it towards the end. Towards the end there. Dominic Reyes, public dog of the week. Maybe. We'll have to see. Fight goes to decision. Remember Olberg? What about Olberg?
Has he fought either of these guys?
I don't think so.
Maybe they're just talking about the Blachowicz fight from a couple weeks ago, though. That went to decision.
Krillov fights a lot different than Blachowicz.
Yeah, he really does. Yes.
Reyes got beat his ass miles. I got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can Krillov take him down? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm interested in, because, like I said, Dominic Reyes
will try.
He will try. Dominic Reyes is taking even looks elite, 82%, but nobody's really trying to take him down outside of John Jones did. John Jones was 2 for 9, so that's not bad. And then Chris Weidman, but Chris Weidman was at like a big size discrepancy, went 1 and 4. Other than that, most guys are kind of striking with him, so we'll see. Yep, that's a good point. Good point. And I think this fight would be interesting. Just a fight that's going to be on the feet. It's going to be an absolute slugfest, and Reyes could definitely have some success. This is a dog or pass for me all day, but it should be an exciting matchup. Agreed. Elkins, the ass shaving of the week. I don't know about that. He's like plus 300.
Yeah, he'd be maybe a good dog of the week if you think he can get into those grappling exchanges. But that's gonna be a fun fight.
Jim Miller plus 500 for Jim Miller.
Yeah, that's wide. That is wide, but I still think Chase Hooper's that good.
Yep. All right, let's keep moving on. We got Yair Rodriguez going against Patricio Pitbull. We got Rodriguez, 32 years old, 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. Pitbull, 37 years old, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. Rodriguez, 5 years younger. He's going to have a 6-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage. Yair Rodriguez is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss against Max Holloway. Knockout win against Brian Ortega. Submission win against Josh Emmett. Knockout loss to Alexander Volkanovski. in a submission loss to Brian Ortega. As far as Pitbull, he is going to be making his debut coming off of a knockout win against Jeremy Kennedy in a very fun and exciting fight. I think it was about 8-9 months ago. No, about a year ago, actually, since we've seen Pitbull. So enjoyed looking into this fight. I think this fight as well is going to be a very fun fight on the main card. And yeah, for me, Pitbull, this guy's 37 years old, almost 38. This is a guy that's taken a lot of damage. He's been dropped in his last couple fights. And I just went back and watched some of these Yair fights. And Yair Rodriguez, he's 32 years old. I still think he's improving in terms of the striking has looked better than ever. This guy is going out there. He nearly finished Brian Ortega in the first round, dropped him twice, had some success early on against Volkanovski, looked really good against Josh Emmett, beat the crap out of Josh Emmett and submitted him off his back. Looked good in the Holloway fight, looked good in the Max Holloway fight as well. I think Yair Rodriguez is an absolute serious striker. The problem with Rodriguez has been kind of the ground game. He got broken and subbed by Ortega, and then he got TKO'd by Volkanovski late in the fight. But this is a 3-round fight. As far as Pitbull, I don't know what he's really going to do here. He's a guy that he has some grappling in his back pocket, but I haven't really seen this guy wrestle that much. And even if he does, this guy is just so undersized. Rodriguez is going to have a massive height advantage, a massive reach advantage. I think he's going to have a massive striking advantage. Yeah, I kind of like Rodriguez here quite a bit. And I'm not really like a Yair Rodriguez truther. I question his cardio. I question his heart at times. He's been finished a lot. But in this matchup, I just feel like if Pitbull is not taking him down, he should be able to have a ton of success here on the feet, especially with the declining durability of Pitbull. So yeah, I like Rodriguez here. He is a decent sized favorite. I think around -200, but kind of on the Rodriguez side. I just don't like this matchup for Pitbull unless he proves me wrong and goes out there with his singlet and takes down Rodriguez in 3 rounds. I just haven't seen it. And he's 37. I don't think he's going to change his style all of a sudden. So, but yeah, great fight here. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this one here?
How old are you, Brady?
I'm 26.
Okay, so Patricio Pitbull made his MMA debut when you were 5 years old.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? You were 5, dude. You weren't even in kindergarten yet. And this dude was a professional mixed martial artist. And like you said, man, he's 6 inches shorter than Yair. He's at a 6-inch reach disadvantage. He's at a massive striking disadvantage here. Yair is really, really good on the feet. I mean, elite. He looks like he's gliding around out there. It's really fun to watch Yair strike. He's switching stances. He's throwing all kinds of kicks. Everything is straight to the target and fast. His grappling is getting a lot better. His submission game is very, very good. I'm not exactly sure what year this would have to be for Patricio Pitbull to have a chance in this fight. But I think Yair's going to dick saw this dude. I don't think it's going to be close. But they're both on kind of long layoffs. Yair is not the most active fighter. He's on a 1 year and 1 month layoff here. Patricio Pitbull is on a 1 year layoff. But 43 fights for Pitbull, almost 500 minutes of cage time. His MMA career has lasted 21 years.
Jeez.
You know how many 5-round fights this guy has been in?
A lot, yeah.
I mean, it's at least 10. This guy has got just so much experience and high level opponents on his resume. But Yair is 5 years younger than this guy, and you look at Yair's last 5 opponents are Brian Ortega, Alexander Volkanovski, Brian Ortega, Josh Emmett, and Max Holloway. While Freire is fighting, Kleber Kolke Olst and Chaichiro Suzuki and, Jeremy Kennedy and Sergio Pettis. And, I know that those are good fucking fighters, but they're not UFC level guys. And, yeah, he's 37. He's old. He's undersized. I don't know where he's better than Yair. So, yeah, I think Yair makes this look really easy.
Yeah, and Yair's been training at Valley Flow for how long has it been now?
Oh, he's been there for a long time, Brady. He's always been a Chicago guy ever since he came from Mexico. I'm pretty sure that Yair has been at Valley Flow Striking for the entire time that he's trained in the States. Maybe somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I believe that Yair has always been a Chicago guy. And if he's always been a Chicago guy ever since he left Mexico, he's probably been at VFS.
And yeah, Valley Flow Striking, they've been hot outside of Gerald Mearshart.
Yeah,
but everybody else,
Hubbard blew it a little bit, but that was a close fight, you know?
Oh, yeah, Hubbard too. But everybody else, Bahamondes, Bilal, so.
Yeah, Juliana Pena. What about our guy, Chuck Buffalo, C. Diddy? Charles Radke looking pretty good lately too. So, yeah, it's a very good camp right now.
Shout out Charles Radke. Hopefully we see him in there again soon. This is a banger, agreed. I doubt we see a takedown. I think it'd be very, very, very wise for Pitbull to go for a takedown. But we'll see.
I don't think so. I think Yair's gonna submit him if he tries to take him down, dude.
Yair has a sneaky submission game. Very sneaky.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that it's even sneakier than people are giving. I'm hearing that from people in the room that Yair's grappling is, he's been working on it with some really good fighters.
Yeah. Pitbull's career is old enough to drink. Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
I love it.
Does Yair losing to Ortega, who sucks, mean nothing?
I mean, if Brian Ortega sucks, then I don't know what that makes the rest of the featherweight division.
I wonder if you'd say Ortega sucks to his face, though.
I know I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't say he sucks to his face. I wouldn't for sure. Valley stroking. Oh boy. He's gonna be very undersized in this matchup. Very undersized. So we'll see. Did we talk about the odds yet?
Minus 200 Yair, right?
Yeah, around minus 200. Pitbull around minus or plus 170. The over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 minus 225. The under 2.5 is plus 185. Dude lost to the Bad Pettis brother, and then Suzuki, who might as well be named Mike Jones.
Yeah, and this sport is a brutal sport. I mean, when you're in 5-round wars over and over and over again, it just takes it a lot out of you. And like I said, Brady was 6 years old when this kid made his debut. So this is a grown man with a son sitting in front of you right now, and that's how long Patricio Pitbull's been fighting.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, Wheezy, let's move on to the good stuff. We have the matchup everybody's been waiting for: good versus evil. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva, the most mental illness fight in UFC history. Both these guys have severe mental illness. I don't know what Bryce Mitchell has, but he has something's off with him. And then Gene Silva, I think he's possessed. I think he's straight up a possessed man. So, yeah, let's see if Bryce Mitchell can come in there and do like an exorcism on Gene Silva and get that demon out of him, because it's gonna be interesting, dude. We got Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva, good versus evil. Bryce Mitchell, 30 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. Silva, 28 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach. Gene Silva, 2 years younger. Bryce Mitchell with a 3-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. Bryce Mitchell, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Decision win against Edson Barbosa. Submission loss to Taporia. Decision win against Dan Ige. Knockout loss to Josh Emmett, and then a knockout win against Crone Gracie. As far as Gene Silva, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Decision win against Kevin Vallejos, a knockout win against Poor Weston Wilson, knockout win against Charles Jourdain, knockout win against Drew Dober, and then a knockout win against Melsik Bagdasaryan. Yeah, this is a very fun matchup. We have a striker versus grappler matchup where, Gene Silva is going to try to keep it on the feet and take Bryce's head off, and Bryce Mitchell is going to try to get it down to the ground and control or try to submit Gene Silva. I'm really looking forward to this one. What I like most is like the whole backstory behind this fight. Bryce Mitchell agrees with me in terms of, He thinks that Gene Silva is like possessed by demons, and I called that out a very long time ago. I called that after his debut, Weston Wilson, when he walked to the cage. It was the longest walkout ever. They actually started showing him walking out. They cut to commercial. They came back and he was still like halfway walking out, and then it lasted another 5 minutes. Like, something's wrong with this guy. And then this dude's like crying hysterically after every fight. Something seriously wrong with Gene Silva. We need to get him some help. But there's something wrong with Bryce Mitchell as well. So as a fan, I'm really looking forward to this fight, Wheezy. What are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great striker versus grappler matchup. And I mean, like, it's really wild that this fight is taking place 1 week after Joe Anderson Brito versus Pat Sabatini. This is such a similar fight. And the line is even similar, where it's like, okay, Bryce has just been knocked out. He might be a little bit chinny. Gene Silva hits like a goddamn truck. If Bryce walks onto something here, it's going to be over. But dude, if Bryce starts taking you down and starts to get his grappling game going, he is a absolute killer with his control time. And but the difference is last week, here's why I bet on Sabatini last week, Brady. You look at Sabatini and you see that he's spending 21% of his UFC octagon time at distance striking range. And then you look at the opponent, Joe Anderson Brito, and you say to yourself, well, you want Brito to be spending time in the distance striking exchanges here if you're betting on him. But Brito was only spending 26% of his UFC octagon time in the distance striking exchanges. So right there, you could look and say, look, Sabatini having success holding this guy down, that's going to be a possibility, right? But here, you look at Gene Silva, he's got 78% takedown defense, and he's spending 91.5% of his octagon time at distance striking range, which if you're back in the Silva side, that's what you want to see. You want to see this fight taking place on the feet, where he's going to probably be the minute winner, but he's most definitely going to be the moment winner. So it's going to be up to Bryce Mitchell to initiate the grappling exchanges here and initiate them successfully, to get takedowns, to consolidate position on top, to rack up control time, to land damage, and to look to advance position and finish the fight with submissions. And we know that Bryce has the ability to do that. And, you got to look at this from a gambling. If you're a gambler, you shouldn't be giving a shit about what Bryce Mitchell says about Hitler, and you shouldn't be giving a shit about the mental illness of Gene Silva and that he barks like a dog and it takes him 15 minutes to walk 50 feet. Okay? None of that means shit. It's what goes on in the octagon, Brady. It's the stylistic components of that fight that are going to determine whether one of these fighters has value or not. And right now, I see people letting their emotions get away with them here. Just because you want Gene Silva to get his, to kick this guy's ass. There's a lot of people last week who really wanted Brito to get his hands on fucking Sabatini, and it didn't happen, right? Because Sabatini was able to get his game going. And if Gene Silva, if we find out that because his last three opponents were Bagdasarian, can't wrestle, Dober, can't wrestle, Jordan, can't wrestle. Even Jordan got a couple of takedowns, though, Brady. Weston Wilson was actually pretty close on a leg lock, was he not? Or no, did he get close? No, he just got knocked out, right? It was
he didn't
Weston
just
who
get
got close
knocked out.
against Brito.
He got killed, yeah.
It was Brito where they got into the grappling exchanges. Yeah, because poor Weston Wilson, my God. Yeah, that didn't go well for him. So I'm worried that because Silva's last 5 opponents have been guys who can't wrestle at all, what happens with Bryce Mitchell? Because if Bryce gets a takedown and gets into half guard, Gene Silva is going to probably spend the rest of the round there trying not to get ground and pounded and trying to avoid submission attempts. And Bryce is very tricky on the ground. So at this particular price, where you're looking at Gene Silva minus 260, Bryce Mitchell plus 220, this is dog or pass, because there's a very glaring path to victory here on the Mitchell side. And do what I did last week, because I bet on Sabatini. Just make peace with it. Look, if Bryce loses, he's probably getting carried out on a stretcher. it's probably going to be really fucking ugly. But I made this point on Balls Deep Breakdowns last week. If your guy gets knocked out brutally and dies, the bookie still only gets to keep what you bet. It's not like they're going to call you on the phone and be like, you owe us another 2 units because your guy got violently served. You can only lose what you can bet, but you can make 2.2 times your money if Bryce Mitchell winds up getting takedowns and has success in the grappling exchanges of this fight. Because if he does that, he's going to get his hand raised here. So this is a great striker versus grappler matchup. Both guys have paths to victory, and both guys are elite in getting their paths to victory to work at this level.
Yeah, money's pouring in on Bryce Mitchell today. He was like plus 275, I saw last night.
Yeah.
Now he's plus 220. Gene Silva, he actually opened up like minus 570, now minus 260. I do expect this line to keep closing up, even though Gene Silva going to be a very popular pick, I'd imagine, this week. But yeah, I mean, Bryce Mitchell definitely has a path here for sure. The over understood at 2.5 rounds, the over 2.5 plus 135, the under 2.5 is minus 165. What do you think about that?
It's minus for the under, right?
Yeah, minus 165 for the under.
Okay. I thought you said plus 165. And I was about to turn off my camera and start making bets.
I mean, maybe I said plus. I'm very tired.
No, I don't think you did. I think it's just getting late.
It's getting very late. We got Monk in the building.
Yes.
What is up, Monk? Good to see you in here. Bryce claims to love God, but only one of these fighters has Lord tattooed on them. That's true.
But isn't that blasphemy?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe that's the sin of blasphemy, where if you're calling yourself Lord, but if Jesus is Lord, how can you call yourself Lord? That could be something. Now, I'm not a religious man, but like maybe the religious scholars in the chat, which I know we have dozens, can help us out on that one.
Maybe we have, have the milking of the week. We have the onside pot. Maybe we get the exorcism of the week. Bryce Mitchell to perform an exorcism on Gene Silva Saturday night. What do you think? Brings holy water
and year, because like there could really only be one exorcism fight per year, and I don't care if it's only April. Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell is not just the exorcism fight of the year; it's the exorcism fight of the decade, exorcism fight of the century, and exorcism fight of the millennia. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it right here tonight.
So I know like the rules in different states are different for MMA. In Florida, do they allow holy water into the octagon?
No, but you can bring a Bible in there and scream freedom.
Okay.
That's actually encouraged.
All right. So that's good to hear. Brady, where are you from? I'm from Ohio. Ohio, a terrible, cold state. I hate the cold. Hate it. We have the Dogfather in the building. I'm right on time. Good to see you. Absolutely. Verna Large. Speaking of large, let's move on to the next comment. Let's see. Max bed. I wouldn't max bed. Maybe like a unit bed wouldn't hurt anybody. Let's see what else we got in here. OHIO. Heck yeah. Cleveland in the building. Let's go. Shout out Cleveland. I don't see Bryce shooting a single takedown. He wants to beat Gene to death. If Bryce Mitchell doesn't shoot a single takedown, he's going to die.
Somebody's going to die, but it's not going to be the guy that Bryce wants to die. That's the problem.
Oh, he better shoot takedowns. All right, let's move on. We got 590 of you guys in here late on a Sunday night. We appreciate you guys. If you guys have not already, smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We go live every Sunday, 10:15. Never a second late. Never a second late. Do you want to shout out the sponsor? This show is only possible due to our guy, Avery. Shout out to Avery for sponsoring the show. Guys, go give him a follow at MMA_Very, the official sponsor of Stat Diggers. All right, let's move on now to the co-main event. We have Michael Chandler going against Paddy Pimblett. My Paddy Pimblett wig has not arrived yet, so I will not be wearing that on the show. Michael Chandler, 38 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. We got Paddy Pimblett, 30 years old, 5'10", with a 73-inch reach. Pimblett, 8 years younger, 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Michael Chandler is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Knockout loss to Charles Oliveira, decision loss to Justin Gaethje, knockout win against Tony Ferguson, submission loss to Dustin Poirier, and then a decision loss to Charles Oliveira. As far as Paddy Pimblett, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. A submission win against Kazula Vargas, submission win against Jordan Levitt, decision win against Jared Gordon, a decision win against Tony Ferguson, and then a submission win against King Green. And I don't know how to feel about this fight. First and foremost, as a fan, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think this fight's going to be absolute fireworks for as long as it lasts. I'm a big fan of Paddy Pimblett. I like the whole, stupid haircut thing, the whole, the dancing, the walkout. That's all fun. But this is going to be like a big test for Paddy Pimblett. Like, this is not Kazula Vargas, who has a 30% takedown defense. This is not Jordan Levitt, who does splits in the cage with a 30% takedown defense. This is not a completely washed King Green who took a dive. I mean, King Green took a dive for a big paycheck, jumped right into a guillotine, got triangle choke. I mean, this is not a washed Tony Ferguson. And then he lost the Jared Gordon fight. So if he beats Michael Chandler, it's going to be his biggest win by a big, giant, long mile. And I don't know, Wheezy, like on the feet, Paddy Pimblett, he's very hittable, chin up in the air, blocks punches with his face. He's very tough, but Michael Chandler hits hard, and that worries me. What also worries me is I don't think Paddy Pimblett has the best wrestling. Is he going to be able to take down Michael Chandler? I'm not so sure. So I really want Paddy to win this fight. I'm not a big fan of Michael Chandler. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, but he is losing to, the top level guys. And he said it himself. If he's not fighting a top 2 guy, he typically goes out there and wins and wins very convincingly. So this is a fight that I'm kind of struggling with, but the line keeps growing in favor of Paddy Pimblett, and I'm just not as convinced as a lot of people are this week. What are your thoughts on this co-main event?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is Paddy Pimblett even any good? Obviously he's good, right? He's 22-3 as a pro. I mean, Paddy's a very, very, very good fighter, but you look at that last 5 and it's like, okay, Kazula Vargas, if you said, if I was like the new matchmaker and I was like, hey, Dana, Chandler needs a fight. Let's line him up. Kazula Vargas is available. They'd look at me like I had lost my damn mind. I'd leave the room and they'd be like, hey man, we got to have a talk about Wheezy. This guy is losing his goddamn mind. They would never make Michael Chandler versus Jordan Levitt. They wouldn't even make Chandler versus Gordon, even though that would be a fair fight. They made Pimblett beat Ferguson, and they made Ferguson versus, Chandler. And Chandler, MMA math-wise, did a better job against Ferguson than Pimblett did. And yeah, the win against King Green, are we supposed to care? The win against Tony Ferguson, are we supposed to care? This guy's best win might be Julian Rosa.
Oh.
And I mean, that's not a bad win. It isn't. But that was I'm trying to think, right? Because is it Tony Ferguson? Because we talk about, Gene Silva and Bryce Mitchell being a little bit crazy. What about Ferguson? I don't know, man. Chandler's better than this guy, I think. He's got more power on the feet. He's a better wrestler than Paddy Pimblett is. And Michael Chandler has only been submitted once in 32 fights. So it's going to be very difficult to submit this guy. Who, Poirier submitted him. But before that was, at the age of 38, or 36, I think, for Chandler. He had never been submitted prior to that. So, he'd been there with Charles Oliveira twice. Oliveira never submitted him. So, how does Pimblett look like a favorite in this fight? Because he looked like an underdog against Jared Gordon. He lost all 3 rounds of that fight. I don't know if Tony Weeks was one of those scorecards. I know Ron McCarthy was. So yeah, this is weird, man. Who's the favorite? Is it Chandler?
Pimblett's a favorite, -170.
Yeah, I think Chandler's probably this is probably dog or pass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Chandler is 30. He's almost 39. So he is getting up there, but I don't know. It's an interesting matchup because on the feet, like Pimblett's very, very hittable, and Chandler can crack.
Oh, Chandler, yeah, and Chandler's gonna, like they're gonna meet in the middle, man. I mean, I think this is an under fight because this. I mean, you look at these last 5 names: Kazula Vargas, Jordan Levitt, Jared Gordon, Ferguson, and Green. These guys aren't knocking anybody out. So you could say that Pimblett's, durable against those type of guys. Are you going to be durable against Michael Chandler, who's came close to knocking out Oliveira not too long ago? Who's like that fight with Gaethje was awesome. They were both putting in bad spots here, So I just think that the level of competition that Chandler's been fighting at is just so much higher. So then I got to ask myself, like, well, okay, where is Paddy taking this fight so that he's better than Chandler somewhere? I'm not sure where he's better other than just being younger and more hyped and the more popular fighter that the UFC is trying to profit from. So they're trying to get him as many high profile names that'll be the easiest possible fights. But frankly, you can only do that for so long before you run it, because like they were trying to do that with Gordon. They thought, all right, Gordon's pretty harmless. This will be an easy one for Paddy to get a win. And then they had to go out there and pay judges off to fix the fight because he lost it. And if you're losing to Jared Gordon, how are you going to beat Michael Chandler? That's my question.
I think for him to pay off this price tag, he's going to need takedowns, and I don't know. Like Paddy's not a great wrestler. What is it, 25% accuracy or worse?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like,
against
he's a brick. His wrestling is dog shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to. I'm absolutely not betting Paddy Pimblett at chalk. Absolutely not. Absolutely, unless they're paying like Chandler to take a dive. Do you think Chandler will shoot in on a takedown here?
I think Chandler taking a dive for a pile of money is absolutely on the table.
I think it is too.
And look, and that I'm not even saying that like that would be like bad. Like if I'm Michael Chandler and I've been fighting my whole life to feed my family, and I know that the end is near, and Dana White says we'll pay you $1 million to take a dive against this British bum. I mean, it's not like you're worried about your legacy when you've already got 9 losses on your record, Brady. He's a human being with a family to support. If they pay him to take a dive, and if there's one guy in the UFC that you're paying for good fighters to take a dive against, it's this guy Pimblett.
100%. Need I remind people about the Bobby Green situation?
Dude, we said the exact same thing with all that money. That was after he was fine. He's like, yeah, they just choked me out, and he's talking on the phone with a brick of hundreds. Just a big wad of
huge wad of cash. After he's rubbing it in our face. He's rubbing it in our face. He threw the fight. Bobby Green threw the fight. Shot in on a takedown. Michael Chandler might do the same. I'd be pissed if I bet on Chandler and he shot in on Paddy, got his neck snatched up. I'd be so pissed. I don't think I'm betting a money line. Maybe like a total, because like you said, this is a violent fight one way or another. Either Chandler knocks his head off or Paddy gets the fight to the ground and finds a sub. So maybe some violence, but I don't know. See what you guys are saying in the chat. We got Jeff Bruno with the $5 dono saying, Michael Pimblett, see you at the top, lad. There we go.
Yes.
And what a nice picture there. I like that.
That's Snake Plissken right there. You know who Snake Plissken is?
He looks familiar. It's a character, right?
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell. It's the actor Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And Snake Plissken was a classic movie called Escape from New York. It's like an 80s movie. It's an action movie. Absolutely classic movie. I recommend watching it someday, man. Kurt Russell, one of the great American actors, Brady. Super underrated. Tons of great films. Seems like a really great guy. Been married to Goldie Hawn for decades. Yeah, man. Kurt Russell, American hero. Let's go.
Shout out Kurt Russell. Something fishy that this line is growing. And we said the same. Me and you both said the same thing about the Green fight. We were like, something's fishy. Something feels fishy in this fight, and it played out very fishy.
Dude, I literally said that the only thing that's keeping me from betting Bobby Green is that I honestly think he'll take a dive. I mean, I'm not joking. Because like when you're capping the fight, you're like, okay, come on, man. If this just like Bobby Green is gonna pick this guy apart from distant striking range, and this Brit is not taking down Bobby Green. So how does he win? Oh, turns out Bobby Green shoots a takedown in the first minute of the fight, and then puts his neck into a triangle, and then winds up getting, what was it, an armbar or the triangle? I don't remember what it was.
It was both.
Yeah, you know, like he took him down. You know, and it's like, dude, like if you know, if you're coaching Bobby Green, are you telling him to wrestle there? If you're paying Bobby Green to lose the fight, you're probably like, hey, Bobby, I got an idea. You shoot a takedown and you just put your neck out there. You know?
Yeah, this is wild. It was wild. Chandler by knockout immediately. So yeah, Pimblett hasn't been knocked out, right? He hasn't been knocked out yet.
Never, only been submitted in his professional career.
Who's Chandler's best win? Probably be Dan Hooker.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of his best wins, frankly, are Bellator wins when he was, you know, in his late 20s, early 30s when he was a champion, and you know, he was fighting some UFC level competition in a lateral organization, you know. But he's 38 years old now, and he's fought guys at this level that have combined records of 105 and 50. Paddy Pimblett's fighting guys with 42 and 36 records, and one of those guys is Tony Ferguson, who's like 15 and 8, but he's on a 7-fight losing streak. So when you remove the Tony Ferguson record from and the King Green record, and when these guys are washed, you know, it turns out that Pimblett's fighting a bunch of guys with losing records.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about this fight. The fight goes the distance. That would shock me if this fight went 25. But at the same time, Oliveira Chandler did go 25 last time. But if this fight went 25, I'd be stunned.
Me too.
Chandler's grappling prior to the UFC looked good. He has a lot of subs. Yeah, he has a black belt. I think Paddy knows he has to wrestle. Yeah, I think he's gonna try. Pimblett would never be. Could you imagine Paddy Pimblett versus Charles Oliveira?
Yeah, I mean, if he beat Oliveira, then you'd see like Oliveira would own half of Brazil from like the money that Dana would have to pay him to take that dive, man. Charles Oliveira would be like hanging out with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
Gordon may have beat Pimblett. Oh, don't get Uncle Wheezy started on that. I think he had Gordon by decision plus 500 there.
Yeah, that one hurt, Brady. That one hurt. I didn't recover from that one for a couple of months.
Chandler paid to take a dive. It's on the table. It's on the table. We've seen people take dives. We saw King Green take a dive. Nico Price took a dive. Robbie Lawler's retirement. I was at that fight. Nico Price, Robbie Lawler. Nico Price took a dive, and I don't blame him. The dude has 8 kids. Kids are expensive. I have 1, very expensive. Nico Price has, I think, 9 on the way. So take a dive. Take a dive.
He just looked at his wife and got her pregnant.
I know.
Extremely fertile.
Oh, shout out to Nico Price. Great guy. Lots of kids. Lots of kids. Paddy by split. This is a 5-round fight, by the way. 5-round fight, which, I don't know, 5 rounds. Who do you think that favors? Probably Chandler, right? Paddy has been 5 rounds before in Cage Warriors, though.
Yeah, that's a really good question, you know, who that favors, because Chandler's pushing 39 now. You know, so it could actually wind up favoring Paddy, but obviously it's Chandler who has all the 5-round experience as a professional. And I could tell you that Chandler has went 11 times, 5 rounds. 11 fights that have been scheduled for 5, while for Paddy Pimblett in his career, it's 4. So a lot more 5-round experience on the Chandler side.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, what else we got in here? This fight is not fishy. No dives here. They're legit angry at each other. You can see it in the face-offs interview. Good. I want a good fight. I want them to swing dicks. Yeah, 5-round co-main event. 5-round co-main event. Luke took a dive versus Buckley. Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. Luke didn't seem like a quitter to me, but he did quit in that fight. All right, that's the co-main event. We will move on to the main event, and it is Alexander Volkanovski going against Diego Lopez. We got Volkanovski, 36 years old, 5'6", with a 71-inch reach. Diego Lopez, 30 years old, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. Lopez, 6 years younger, 5-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. We have Volkanovski, who is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision win against Max Holloway, decision loss against Islam Makhachev, knockout win against Yair Rodriguez, knockout loss to Islam Makhachev, and then a knockout loss to Lili Topuria. As far as Diego Lopez, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Submission win against Gavin Tucker, knockout win against Pat Sabatini, knockout win against Sadiq Youssef, decision win against Dan Ige, and then a decision win against Brian Ortega. So I'm really struggling with this main event, Wheezy, and here's why. Diego Lopez has been a weird case thus far in the UFC, right? And it's weird because you look at Lopez and, he's not the most skilled fighter in the world, right? He doesn't have great takedown defense. If he gets taken down, he's content to kind of lay on his back and throw up submissions. He doesn't have the best striking defense, but he is improving quite a bit. But I'm looking at this match. I've been looking at these two side by side, and it's I think Volk is just so much better than Diego Lopez. So much better. I think people are forgetting just how good Volk really is. Yes, he got knocked out in his last 2 fights, but Alexander Volkanovski is very, very good. And I'm thinking about this fight. I'm yeah, there's I think a million reasons to like Volk here. But Diego Lopez has that one thing going for him, Wheezy. It's a 4-letter word, and it means a lot. And it starts with an A. And that 4-letter word he keeps doing it. And that 4-letter word is aura. This guy has so much aura. It's crazy, man. So yeah, it's kind of like deja vu. I feel like a lot of sharp people are going to be on Volkanovski this week. Why shouldn't you be? Why shouldn't you be on Volkanovski? A lot of sharp people were on Gavin Tucker against Diego Lopez. Lopez was an underdog there. A lot of people were on Pat Sabatini as a favorite. Lopez was the underdog there. A lot of very sharp people on Sadiq Youssef as a favorite. Lopez was the underdog there. And there were a lot of reasons to like Youssef, Sabatini, and Tucker. There were. I got it. But this too, Lopez has that aura, and I'm worried about Volk. Volk apparently is he's battling alcohol addiction. Apparently Volk's an alcoholic. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, apparently this guy is talking about being an alcoholic. Hopefully he's fixed that problem, but he's 36, almost 37 at this point. He's taken a lot of damage. The chin seems to be kind of diminishing. But yeah, skill for skill, this isn't even close. So I'm really struggling with this one. Wheezy, help me out. I think there's so many reasons to like Volkanovski, but all it takes is one big shot for Lopez to potentially knock out Volkanovski for the 3rd time in a row. And Volkanovski said it himself. He said, if I'm not getting knocked out, I'm the best guy in the world. Nobody's beating me if I'm not getting knocked out, right? And I agree. I don't think anybody's beating Volkanovski if his chin holds up, but the chin's starting to worry me a little bit. So I don't know. I think there's strong cases to be made on both sides, and I think that's a reason we're getting this fight closer to a pick'em. Volk's slight favorite, but what are your thoughts on this main event, Wheezy?
Yeah, that's interesting about him being an alcoholic because, being an alcoholic is just another synonym for being Australian, right? So, I mean, is he more alcoholic than the average Australian, or is he just regular Australian alcoholic?
Yeah.
And, because if you're just a regular Australian alcoholic, that just makes you like everybody else in the country. So
apparently he hasn't drank in months, so that's good.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, this is an interesting one because, dude, just 2 years ago, this guy was losing to Nate Richardson.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he got taken down and top controlled for 3 straight rounds by Joe Anderson Brito. Didn't really do much in that fight. Then after the Brito loss, he goes and he loses a split decision in Fury FC to an 8-3 Nate Richardson. And then he beats Kenneth Glenn, who's 10-8. Then he beats a 10-10 Angel Rodriguez. And then he gets his short notice UFC debut against Evloev. He loses the fight, but shows out in that fight. Made it really close. Made it, looked really good against a guy who's still undefeated in Movsar Evloev. And then he beats Tucker. He beats Sabatini. He runs through Yusuf. Beats Ige. Beats Ortega. And it's like, shit, man, do I want to go back and watch that Nate Richardson fight? Because I don't think this dude is the same dude. Like, he got a good doctor. He got some good, South Florida son that's also in Pueblo, Mexico, where he's training. Lopez appears to be a completely different animal than what he was before. There were people that were willing to, bet a tattoo that this guy wasn't going to beat Sadiq Yusuf, and he ran through him. I couldn't believe it, So it's like, I'm still trying to figure out how good Diego Lopez actually is, because he's not going to take down Volkanovski. This guy can't, he's not a great wrestler. He's got to land big shots here, but he's 5 inches taller than him, so he's going to be able to, it's going to be difficult for Volkanovski to close that distance. He's going to have to use a lot of kicks. The more kicks you throw, the better chance it is that you're going to get taken down. But, Ortega wasn't able to submit Volkanovski, even though he had him in a couple of really bad spots. And, I don't think that Lopez is going to be able to submit him either. So does Lopez find the big shot? And he's been finding it. That's the thing, man. This guy, I mean, that Sabatini fight was amazing. The Yusuf fight was amazing. The Tucker fight was amazing. He ran through those guys. And then the Ige fight, you can't really take anything from the Ige fight, because Ige took the fight that day, right?
Yeah, and Lopez had to cut weight like 3 times. It was crazy.
Yeah, so I don't take much from that. And then the Ortega fight the next time was a decision. I have to go back and watch that fight. I forgot about that fight already. Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because part of the problem with predicting this fight is, are we getting the old Alexander Volkanovski or not? Because if you're not getting the elite version of Volkanovski, you're just getting a 36-year-old featherweight who's 5'6", who hasn't wrestled to win minutes in years. So, I mean, of course Lopez is going to beat him if we're not getting prime Volkanovski here. And it's hard to know whether you're getting him, because maybe you even got prime Volkanovski against Makhachev twice in a row, but you wouldn't have known it because he was up a weight class on short notice both times. So, and then he lost to Ilya, and he was just getting into a rhythm before he got backed up to the cage, and it was the third punch of the combination that got him. That could be considered a fluke. Was it a fluke or was it not? Because that kind of helps you with whether you want to lay the juice on Volkanovski this time around. Because if it was a fluke, then he should be able to run through Diego Lopez. But if he is slowing down, if he is a little bit more hittable now, if he is just a 5'6" featherweight who throws a lot of volume and wins minutes, do you want to be laying juice on him at this point in his career? And the answer is probably no.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. Volk opened up -170, he's -140. Lopez opened up +145, he's +120. Over under set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 is -210. The under 2.5 is +170, which it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I kind of think if Lopez is winning this, it's going to be in the first couple rounds when he's fresh and dangerous. But the over 2.5 is juice to the tits. What do you guys like in the chat for this one? Give me Lopez. I've loved him ever since his first UFC fight where I saw no quit in him. That was his natural hair. Oh, you're talking about the wig. Yeah. Let's see. I saw Volk hanging around the horse track for extra juice. Extra juice.
Yeah, for the thing, what they put the horses in, you know.
Oh, I got you. Volk 4-5 decision. Volk has plenty of TKOs. Yeah, just ask Yair Rodriguez and the Korean Zombie and almost Max Holloway in the third fight. I thought he was about to knock out Max. Brady being, what did I do? Why am I being stupid? That's not nice. Oh, because I said the alcohol. I mean, he said he was an alcoholic. I'm not breaking any news here.
Yeah, I was the one who said that all Australians are alcoholics. Why is Brady catching strays?
Hey, come on. Nate Richardson. Oh. Oh gosh. Jeez. What else we got here? He has no chin anymore, and Lopez will capitalize on that. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the chin, the durability of Volk. And Lopez has like a lot of power. So let's see. Still picking Volk. Evloev beats Lopez again. Kid Gas is out, needs a KO early, and he won't get it against Evloev. Maybe Volk, who's chinnier and more predictable defensively. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Volk was also chinned on the Volk's been knocked out 3 times, right?
3 times, yes.
Volk is washed. Yeah, what is that stat? I'm sure somebody in the chat knows. What is the stat of fighters that are 36 and up fighting in title fights? Wasn't it like 1-17?
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, like I think I might have even seen something like 2-23 or something like that. And you know, I think that it's especially useful in men's lower weight classes, men's 125 to men's 170. You know, because these athletes up at 205, 206, or I mean at 205, 265, you know, it doesn't matter if you're old. All those guys are slow as shit anyway. You know, at featherweight, you know, once you start slowing down a little bit, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. So I remember seeing that stat, and it was something crazy.
It's bad, yeah.
Juice to the teats. Yeah, the teats. Top 4 milks for UFC 314, 2 from Brady. We only give one. Unfortunately, we only give one milking. Grave Digger. We might as well be the Grave Diggers. We're up at 1:00 in the morning. Jeez.
That's right.
So Lopez is as good as Islam, and Elias suck me off. Aussie's a big Volk fan. I don't blame him. Volk's one of my favorites as well. I will not suck you off, though. I will definitely not be doing that. Let's see here. Who's that one guy? Maybe that one guy will suck you off. Who's the guy earlier with his shirt off?
Oh, Joel. Yeah. Oh, Joel's hanging out on the beach right now, man. He's a lusty lad.
Joel will suck you off, I think. But not me. Okay. We did it, Wheezy. We are 2 hours and 42 minutes in. Let's get straight to business, and let's cook up a Stat Diggers parlay. I think we've only lost 1 week, and we've been doing it for all year. So let's cook it up. Let's find 2. That's disgusting. Let's cook up 2 legs, Wheezy, and hopefully, well, we know one leg's gonna fall off. So should we just do something in the cornhole Cowan fight so it falls off?
I love it. So we're taking the over in the cornhole Cowan fight so that we can hit another 1 leg parlay.
We should do it. I don't mind that over at -205. It's gonna fall
either.
off.
That should hit as long as Haley's like healthy.
Yeah.
You know, that she's not coming in. I mean, she hasn't fought in 2 years, Brady. So I mean, like an over in that fight could be a little bit sketchy, but that fight is probably not happening. Haley can't make it to the cage.
It's probably, but yeah, okay. The over in the Cowan fight's not happening, but that could be an option. I think Tulio at -320 is a chalky but a good option. I think Olazechuk -200, good option there. Chase Hooper's too big of a favorite. Dan Ige Woodson, maybe an over there. It's minus 250. I don't mind that. I don't mind Yair Rodriguez, minus 190. And that's about it. So I'm going to pick my leg here. And I think the leg I'm going to go with is going to be, I'll go Mikhail Olazechuk here, minus 200.
Minus 200. And then I'm taking the Valley Flow striking product in Yair Rodriguez against an undersized Patricio Pitbull who made his MMA debut when you were 6 years old, Brady.
Okay. So minus, there you go. And minus 190 comes out to plus 129.
There we go.
That's scared.
That figures parlay. Nice and easy. Olazechuk Rodriguez.
But one leg's going to fall off. And the one leg that probably falls off is Dumas because he's probably going to go to prison on fight week. Just kidding. I mean, he's a great guy. He stays.
Yeah, he's going to get caught embezzling from all the charities that he runs, just like Sean Woodson's mom.
Oh God. Let's see. So yeah, Dumas. Let's try to stay out of trouble so this parlay can stay intact. All right, Wheezy. We need to rebound. Last week, I'm not putting any blame on the chat. But we did open up to the chat. We had you guys vote for the piping of the week. You guys voted Joe Anderson Brito. I'm not putting the blame on you guys. It's not your fault because I would have picked like Torres Finney. And that was probably even worse. So this week, we got to get back on track with the onside piping of the week, Wheezy. There's going to be some pipings this week. Marco Tulio Silva, potential piping. Mikhail Olazechuk could potentially pipe SD Dumas, even though he's a great guy. Juliana Rosa might be able to pipe up a 40-year-old Darren Elkins. Chase Hooper might be able to pipe up a 42-year-old Jim Miller. Krillov can pipe Dominic Reyes. I mean, there's a lot of options here, Wheezy. What are you thinking for an on-site piping of the week here?
Whew. I mean, yeah, like Tulio over Tariji and Gore could be a good one.
We need a piping. We need somebody to get piped on site.
Yeah, we do. Who's gonna get like, dude? I think Chase Hooper is gonna run through Jim Miller, but he's minus 750, so I don't feel good.
Odds don't matter when we're talking about the piping.
Oh well, dude, I think Chase Hooper is gonna run through him, dude.
All right, there we go. So okay, the on-site piping of the week is Chase Hooper. Is it the Dream still?
Chase the Dream.
The Dream Hooper to pipe Jim Miller on site at UFC 314. There we go. Okay, I got to get somebody to do this for me during the show. So there it is. The on-site piping of the week. Chase the Dream Hooper to pipe. I messed it up.
Jim Miller. It's spelled correctly.
No, it's getting late. To pipe up Jim Miller on site at UFC 314, as long as there's no dives or any. I don't want to see Chase Hooper showing up with a wad of cash the next press conference. All right. I think it's a milking. Yeah, we do got to come up with the milking. So for the milking, I don't know. I don't think I want Cornolle as the milking. Tulio Silva, I don't know. Olazechuk. Oh, milking. I don't know, man.
I think Yair Rodriguez is gonna milk that Pitbull.
Okay.
And I want to say something too.
Yeah.
Like, it's 2025. Pitbull is the most overused nickname in mixed martial arts. It's gotta stop, dude. There's like 73 Pitbulls right now that are fighting. And it started with Arlovsky, Patricio Pitbull, the Pitbull brothers. Everybody's a goddamn Pitbull. How about a Rottweiler? How about a Mastiff? How about a Doberman? There are so many other dogs besides Pitbulls. So this Pitbull nickname is washed out. It's yesterday's news. It's totally September 10th, my friend. So we're gonna stop it here, and we're gonna end it on Saturday. And Yair Rodriguez is gonna milk this Pitbull on display and say, welcome to the UFC, nephew. Your nickname is as outdated as your fighting style.
The thing is, I kind of feel like they should be switched. I kind of think Ayer's going to pipe Pitbull, and I kind of think Hooper's going to milk Jim Miller.
You know, it's about getting it right, Brady, not about getting it right the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I think that maybe Yair Rodriguez pipes Patricio Pitbull on site, and that Chase Hooper milks Jim Miller, which could be named Jim Milker. So
we'll do that. So the piping of the week is Yair Rodriguez to pipe Pitbull, the 5'2", the 5'2" featherweight on site, and then the milking of the week is going to be Chase the Dream Hooper to milk Jim Miller dry. We're going to have Chase Hooper come in with the overalls, with the straw hat, with a big pail. He's going to take down Jim Miller, ground and pound him, grab him by the teats, twist him, and he's going to milk him. Milk until Keith Peterson steps in and says, there's no more milk left. We got to stop the fight. Chase Hooper, second round milking. We did it. And everybody, they like it. They agree. They agree. Right. So Chase Hooper milking, Rodriguez piping, milking, piping. Love it. We did it, Wheezy. We milk we did it. Any final thoughts on the card, and then also let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, great card to end this 11-week stretch. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Uncle Wheezy. You can find my probability stats and content package on oddsshopper.com. Those are the places to find me, at MMA Wheezy on Twitter, or X as the kids are calling it these days. And yeah, let's just stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 314. And then even more importantly, Brady, enjoy this week off.
Yeah.
The weather's getting a little bit warmer. You could spend some time with your family. I'm going to go over to my Aunt Maria's and get some dinner. You know, like, she's the best cook in the world. So I'm going to probably be there on Monday and Wednesday. I'm going to enjoy this week off, but I'm going to enjoy cashing some tickets on these fights and watching some of these milkings, pipings, ass shavings, and dog picks coming through, man. I'm looking forward to keeping this winning streak going.
Yeah, me too. We didn't forget about the parlay. Where were you at, Marcel? Were you looking at Jessica Andrade's pictures? Were you going through your camera roll? You sicko? You're a sicko.
Marcel, the parlay is the Yair Rodriguez money line and the Mihail Oleksiejczuk money line.
There we go. We did it. All right, guys. We got to get to bed. It's late. It's very late. So best of luck. And by the way, don't send me no more Andrade pictures. So somebody new this last week, Wheezy. His name was Mike. Mike,
I know that dude. He sent him to me too.
It was like, it looks like he put a lot of effort into the editing. So I'll give him credit for that. But it was a picture with Andrade, with a rose in her mouth. I mean, it was just bad. So, yeah. All right, guys. Best of luck for UFC 314. If you guys could, like, on your way out, subscribe to the channel as well. We'll be back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So yeah, we're gonna enjoy the card, take a week off, and we'll get right back into it. And yeah, guys, best of luck. We'll talk to you soon and see you later.